Dead man walking.
Alright, creatures of the night, welcome to episode 76 of Talking Taker, our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. My name is Alex Dorio. I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, my fellow creature of the night, Rhino's #1 fan, Mr. Travis White. And Travis, you know, I guess what this really is an episode of Stalking Taker. Am I right?
Exactly. This is Welcome to Stalking Taker, episode 1, aka Invasion. So, yeah, man, Stalking Taker is about to get a healthy dose of stalkage right here. So,
oh man, this is it, man. This is one of the most ominous matches or periods on the Undertaker spreadsheet that we created. One of the most infamous ones, perhaps one of the most hated or despised or just wrestle crappiest eras of the Undertaker's career is this few month period that we got to dig into here as a sort of a double episode for us. We're going to combine almost 10 weeks of The Undertaker's career right here. A ton of newsworthy, memorable stuff, memorable for all the wrong reasons, as we cover not only King of the Ring 2001, but we're not going to officially cover that one since it's not officially a match, so we're going to combine that coverage.
It's not, but you wouldn't know that watching the show.
Yeah, I mean, it gets its own match graphic and everything, as Undertaker has a confrontation with Diamond Dallas Page, his wife's Stalker. And then we're going to keep on rolling into the infamous Invasion pay-per-view from July 2001 and the Undertaker's spot in that inaugural Brawl. We're going to tell you the story of how we got to all those different moments. So grab a drink, grab some snacks, grab some barbecue, settle in, folks. It's going to be a big one here tonight. We're going to try to condense it and roll through it as much as we can, but I think you and I both predicted, Travis, this is probably going to be our longest episode ever, so hopefully we'll keep it enjoyable for all you guys out there. But I do want to bring up, before we get into this week's stuff, I want to bring up one quick correction and omission from last week's episode. We appreciate all you guys tuning in to that. As we talked about Great American Bash 1990, we talked about Undertaker's run in the original, the real WCW as Mean Mark. And Travis, you and I started the episode talking about his Mean Mark Calloway, his first few matches with Bruiser Brody. And we talked about how cool it would have been to see something like that, and that we couldn't find footage of it. But the footage does exist, man. I was able to find a couple YouTube videos of Bruiser Brody versus Texas Red, a masked Texas Red, and throw that up on our Facebook page. So if you don't like Talking Taker on Facebook, you need to go check that out, roll over there, and look at that footage. It's just a quick little 3-minute squash match, but it's neat to see those guys in the ring together. And perhaps the most interesting thing, and I think the biggest thing we left out of that, is Texas Red's manager for that match was none other than a young Percy Pringle, a.k.a. Paul Bearer. Are you kidding me?
Isn't that crazy, man? I saw that you posted that on there, and I was like, what the heck, dude? I cannot believe that, A, we missed it, and B, that it actually happened.
Yeah.
So we covered 3 different managers, and they all had a huge impact on him in the beginning of his career and as he became The Undertaker. So it's just crazy, man. Crazy how the wrestling business is.
It is, and I don't think that gets talked enough about, that Percy Pringle managed Mark Calloway all the way back, 5 years before he ever became The Undertaker, dude. That is just wild. One of those strange wrestling connections. But
meant to be, man.
It was.
Meant to be.
But I tell you what, man, something about Bruiser Brody is he never got his wife involved in the wrestling business, and he kept her very far away from it, from what I've read. And I wish that Mark Calloway could have learned that lesson from Bruiser Brody back in those days, because, oh man, let's get into it, dude. Let's talk about perhaps arguably maybe the worst stretch of the Undertaker's career. I don't know what we like to we try to re-examine things here, go at it with a fresh look, but definitely one of the most infamous little runs of the Undertaker's career, as he brings his wife Sara into play here, into the storylines, which we saw a little bit of back at the Judgment Day, but it's going to go full force here.
You know, I think I realized, I just now had an epiphany. You know, we've been talking about how, you know, this Biker Taker, we really weren't looking forward to getting to this era kind of, you know, but we've really been enjoying it, you know, up to this point. And I think I just now realized why, like, this is what I think of when I think of Biker Taker.
Yeah.
I think of the Stalker stuff with Sara, and I think that's why I wasn't looking forward to really covering it and didn't have the fondest memories, because when he first debuts as the Biker Taker, WCW is still an option for us to watch. So I'm splitting my time between both shows, you know, and, you know, I'm watching them both live and flipping back and forth, and, you know, maybe VCR or videotaping one and watching it in full the next day. But, like, you know, that's how I was doing stuff. But then once WCW is gone, my only option is to watch WWF, and then he immediately throws his wife on there, and it just it just makes him too human, you know? It just takes that aura away. And I think that I just now realized, I think that's why I had these not so fond memories of this Biker Taker era. So I do want to, you know, we've both come around and said it's been fun up to this point, but, you know, I think that makes does that make sense to you? I mean,
it does, man. Absolutely. It absolutely makes sense. And one thing that we'll talk about as we go along here, but my hypothesis, that just to start things off, is that I feel like everyone is just miscast in their roles here. Stone Cold is miscast, DDP is miscast, The Undertaker is miscast, Vince McMahon is miscast. It's just no one is playing the role that they're supposed to be playing. And they're all great performers, and they're doing what they can with it, and there's still going to be some very memorable moments amongst all of this, but it just never clicks into place the way that it all should have, because no one's playing the role that they're best at.
Well, yeah, I guess, I mean, we'll see how that all unfolds here, and I mean, I agree with that. And speaking of another role that those miscast that we didn't even know, Kurt Angle, people want to cheer that guy like no other at this point.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, it's funny, man.
It's funny. My highlight for this episode, man. I can't wait to talk about some of Kurt Angle's moments on here. But
yes.
Why don't you kick us off, man, and talk about the night after Judgment Day 2001 as we...
Judgment Day.
rev up the motorcycle and drive forward from 1990 all the way back to the future of 2001.
Whoa.
Past, days of future past, if you will.
We're going back to the future? Yeah. Days of future past to the future, back to the future. Anyway, all right, let's go there. Enough of that. This is Raw 417, the night after Judgment Day, May 21st. So Austin's out gloating about beating Taker at Judgment Day, and he says that Taker's not getting any more rematches. And actually, and I just want to say he's getting massive heat from the San Jose crowd. You know, we mentioned that on 2 episodes ago on Judgment Day, how his heel turn is actually working now. You know, the crowd's giving him heat. And, eventually, this promo leads to him and Triple H defending their tag team titles against Jericho and Benoit, because at Judgment Day, Jericho and Benoit won this tag team turmoil craziness. And anyway, Jericho comes out. Anyway, that all happens here, and I bring that up just because, man, this is the night that the 2-man power trip crumbles on accident, because Triple H's quad blows up, explodes, rolls up into his knee or into his thigh, and there are times and places and moments and matches you'll never forget, and this is one. I'll never forget watching this live and knowing that something happened there, but still being captivated by the match. And I even went back and watched it. And, you know, you and I both go on a record saying it's hard to watch a Benoit match. I did watch this one, and it was tough to but, like, just because it wasn't just a singles match, you know, of his. I think it helped me just watch it and enjoy the story being told, because I was captivated, excuse me, it's late. I was captivated by this match again, and I'll never forget this Raw and this particular match. So
it's 5 stars, one of the best Raw matches, TV matches of all time. The heat is off the charts. Absolutely incredible, man. Great storytelling.
Well, and before that happens, I mentioned all that too because Austin's still kind of involved with Taker. So Deborah's missing from her locker room, and Austin's going to Regal to talk to him about it. And Regal says, he thinks Taker's responsible for it. So turning the tables on Taker here, and Austin comes back to his locker room and finds Deborah just drinking coffee there, and she's like, I'm sorry I wasn't here. I had to go to the other side of the building. So apparently they couldn't put a coffee machine outside of the champs, door. They had to put it on the other side of the arena. So anyway, Taker then barges in and gets in Deborah's face, and it was pretty uncomfortable to watch, honestly, just watch him doing it. But he gets in her face. He's like, "You scared? You should be." And the crowd kind of boos a little bit because there's something about that anger and violence toward women that's just, even back then was it wasn't the Me Too stuff and everything, but it was just
a little uncomfortable.
Just a little uncomfortable to watch, yeah. He then gets in Austin's face and is like, it's personal now, and then if you ever decide to bring my family into this again, I'm going to show you what it's like to step on somebody's family. And then he walks out, Taker does, and Austin's like, yeah, okay, the reason, Deborah, I didn't just whoop Taker is because, I didn't want you to see that right in front of you, And so he's just playing that chicken salad heel here, and but then blaming her it's your fault I didn't get my hands up back on him. So it's just kind of funny, the coward that he is now. So anyway, that's pretty much it for that Raw. So
well, since there's actually nothing involving Undertaker on this next episode of SmackDown. There is the another awesome TV match, the TLC 3 match that got thrown together that I think they've talked about on different podcasts. All the guys in that match, they kind of found out. But they had voicemails on their phone when they got off the plane into the next town the next day or the next morning. Like, oh, we got a TLC match tonight, or they got to the arena or something like that, and had to throw it together, which is insane. But I will just say about that main event, the 2-man power trip match versus Benoit and Jericho, where Triple H gets injured, tears his quad. That too, as we're getting into this episode and talking about the invasion, that is one of the great what ifs about ever in wrestling. I would say is what might have happened had Triple H not got injured in that match. What would have happened had he been around for the invasion? And
exactly.
I know there's lots of Triple H haters out there, and that's fine, especially during this era. Whatever. But just it was clearly they were clearly going somewhere with this Triple H Austin storyline, and it looks like they were about to break up. This might have caused the breakup right here anyway. And maybe they were supposed to fight at King of the Ring instead of the 3-way that we got with Austin, Benoit, and Jericho. And, with Triple H getting hurt and then Benoit getting hurt too, I think that's a lot of the reason why so much of this invasion stuff got sped up and put out there, at the pace that it did, at the level that it did. That's why so many of these plans went crazy, went haywire. That's why we got the Stone Cold Kurt Angle team up and all their comedy stuff. What role might Triple H have played? Would he have led Team WWF and turned face? There could have been a lot more interesting cards in the deck, I'll say, had he not gotten injured. And that's just one of the big shames. And I think the invasion might have played out a good bit differently had he, and Chris Benoit as well. I think he would have played a pretty pivotal role in things as well. Maybe not up to that same level, but man, what if?
Oh yeah, a huge what if, man. I've always wondered, what was his role in the invasion, or did the invasion even look differently? What were the plans initially for it? Were they just going to roll out?
Yeah, it had to be something different because him and. That's part of what leads Steph to being on her own and being able to go play that ECW role, is that she has nothing to do without Triple H there. So
exactly,
that's just one of those butterfly effect things.
Yep. Always wonder what was going to happen there. So it'd be fun to go back and see the notes they had about it or whatever was going to happen. So or just I don't know, hear the conference call the next day about well crap, here we go, let's do something. So. Anyway, maybe we'll get that on the Pritchard show one day or something. Maybe they'll just break it all down, as far as what that night or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I would love that.
Who knows? So they've already covered the invasion, but it wasn't a very good episode. So
yeah, and we can talk about some of that. He's full of crap on some of this stuff too.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Yeah. That's going to bring us to Raw 418 on May 28th, 2001. And so this is the night where JR says he got a letter from a courier earlier that night. So I'm imagining that the word of the day calendar said courier that day. So it's not a word you hear a good Oklahoman without the internet say. So this letter apparently says that we will meet Taker's wife Sara tonight, and Taker isn't even there at the arena, he says. So I guess she's just gonna pop in, use her bring your wife to work coupon, I guess, and I don't know, whatever. But this is also the Raw where Lance Storm makes history as the first quote-unquote invader from WCW to debut on WWF television, where he super kicks Perry Saturn.
Man, I remember where I was watching that too. Yeah,
me too, man. I think that if we weren't on the phone with each other at that moment, I remember we were on the phone immediately after that happened, because we were just being like,
well, I was actually at my grandparents' house in Tennessee, like watching on some
maybe the next day
TV. Then. Yeah, it was probably the next day. But I remember, I don't think I was able to watch all the show last night, but I remember seeing Lance Storm super kick Saturn, and it blew my mind. I went crazy. Yeah,
just nuts, man. To see it, finally. So, and then so this is our first Stalker footage we're gonna get here. We see this footage come up on the screen, and it's Sara at home in a bathrobe, like brushing her hair, and there's like this really creepy voiceover, and it's like,
"This is the Undertaker's wife, Sara, in the privacy of her own home. Comb your beautiful blonde hair." Did you hear something? "Oh, Sara, you'll never see me. But more importantly, I need to see more of you. Oh, yeah, Sara. We'll be seeing a lot more of you."
That's weird.
It's very weird.
It's weird.
Yes.
But it's like, honestly, it's like the reverse from 2 years ago, the Ministry, where we got Taker stalking Stephanie, So
yeah. It is definitely, we've seen Undertaker play a lot of mind games, and finally someone's turning the page and playing them on him. So it's definitely interesting. It's jarring. It makes you wonder what is going on here, and it's going to continue on it's going to continue on for a few weeks here, including on SmackDown on May 31st, 2001, SmackDown number 93. And again, Undertaker's not on the show, just like he wasn't on Raw. There's a great main event with Benoit and Austin on this show.
So good.
Which I think they fought on Raw that same week. They back-to-back main events.
They did.
They were both incredible matches. I think, if I didn't rewatch it, but is that the one where Benoit hits him with like a dozen German suplex? Oh man,
yeah, and that's the one that Austin said several times on his podcast that that's the match. There were slot. It's taped on Tuesdays, so they can cut stuff out of the match. But they were given like 12 minutes or something, and they took like 22 or something.
Oh yeah.
And Benoit, he told Benoit, like, it's fine, it's me, like let's just go with it. So he said that he took a chewing afterward, but he was like, it's fine, don't worry about it. So and Benoit told him thanks afterward for that, because that really put him in a main event spot. That match did. So.
There is another Stalker video continuing this on, and this time the Stalker is watching Sara and Undertaker on their big ranch out in Texas. They're riding their ATVs around, and the Stalker talks about he's having just as much fun watching them as they are. And, the announcers on both of the shows are just putting over how disturbing these videos are. Taz calls it whack. And,
not wacko?
No, not
tobacco.
No, just whack.
Okay.
He's hip. He's cool.
Yeah, something like that.
But
were they? You think they were riding their ATVs to the Schmidt family barbecue?
Oh, no doubt about it, man.
I couldn't resist.
Favorite place in Texas. But yeah, it's building up this mystery of what's going on, who is doing this, why are they doing this.
You just got Sam McLaughlin go through my head.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Dead. Oh man. Oh yeah. Well, it's gonna get weirder, as we keep going here. So we got Raw 419 on June 4th. So, Taker hasn't been at Raw or SmackDown the last week, and so now we see him ride up to the arena on his motorcycle, and he's coming out to the ring with a purpose. And he's I just wrote in my notes that he's rocking Foley's finest flannel tonight, man. He's just got the flannel on, dude, looking just looking like it's fall,
Absolutely.
but it's the middle or beginning of June. So
You can wear flannel all year round, man.
Oh, I do.
Nothing
I
wrong with
absolutely do. Yeah. But he's pacing the ring like a caged lion, and he's walking around. And again, his promos are so much better when he's doing that. I just love that, the sense of urgency, and you can just see the passion and the anger in him. But he's talking about somebody's got a death wish, and their wish is about to come true, and he says, "Whoever's stalking my wife and trespassing my property, I suggest you take it up with me and not my wife." So then he says that he's going out of his way to keep his family out of this business.
This crap's gone on long enough, and I'm in no more of a mood for any more tapes or any more letters. Enough is enough. I've never seen the Undertaker this emotional.
It's funny because the way he's talking, he's getting so passionate. He's not like crying, but he's stopping and like he's really playing that character like a concerned husband would be. It's really, I don't know. It's just more emotion out of him than we've seen in a long time. I don't know.
It's so weird to see how far we've come to see vulnerability in the Undertaker, man.
Exactly. To see him get emotional is weird, But he's like, I don't think Austin's stupid enough to do this since he's been warned. So he's like, I want to know who it is. And so when I find that SOB, he'll die 1,000 deaths before he ever videotapes my family ever again. So I guess he's got, Dean Malenko is the man with 1,000 holds, and Taker is the man with 1,000 deaths. I
love that. I wish that was his nickname.
The man of 1,000 deaths.
He does. Great. He says it a couple times in a couple different promos. So,
well, then he, in a strange turn of events, he goes over to JR and he's like, threatening JR because he's the one that got the letter from that courier, and he's like, if you know something, you're gonna pay. And JR's like, I don't know what are you talking about. He's claiming innocence, and Heyman's like, well, if it was my old lady, and as soon as he says that, Taker just gives him a soup bone across the face, man. Just slaps him out of his seat. He falls over onto the ground. It's so good. And then JR's like, just go talk to Vince. He's the one that rolls the footage and stuff. So
true.
And as we're doing that, another video comes on, and it's like, why look, it's Sara. Where's your husband, Sara? Are you all alone at home, Sara? Don't worry, I'm further away than it looks. I have a nice long lens on my camera. But if you want to get up, but if you want to get up close, I could. He said it's pretty obvious that Sara loves animals because she's playing with her puppies at this point. There's like,
is she? I need to go back and watch this one.
Holy crap! She's playing with the Great Dane dogs out by the pool. Excuse me, this is not Deborah.
It's a different kind of stalker video.
Well, I don't know. It's getting to that. It's getting there.
Yeah, it was a nice long lens.
Holy crap. Oh, man. Yeah. So, the Stalker says that she's going inside where she thinks it's safe. And then Taker is ticked off, and he's storming up the aisleway. I guess he's stomping to the back to see who's back there rolling the footage. I don't know, but...
Yeah, the monkeys in the truck.
Exactly. Another interesting thing is, we're getting close to King of the Ring here, and we get a classic King of the Ring moment, and it's the classic King of the Ring moment.
That's it.
With, the Hell in a Cell with Taker and Mankind. So just, that match, it's been 3 years and still not going away. And now in real life, it's been 18 years, and it's not going away anytime soon. So, or no, it's been 21. No, it's been 21 years. Sorry, 21 years. Yeah,
21 years.
18 years since 2001. Yeah,
wow.
Golly, whew, that's nuts. So Taker goes back and he confronts Vince during the break, and we see him. He walks up to him. He's like, "Start talking." So Vince is like, "I had no idea what this is all. I got nothing to do with it, and I think I know who it is, though. I think I know. It could be Shane. Since he invaded the production truck earlier to roll some WCW footage on the Titantron. So and then Taker's like, well, if you're screwing with him, or if you're screwing with me, I'm going to take the whole WWF and stick it straight up your backside. So that's going to be impressive. If he can wrap up the whole WWF machine, stick it up Vince's butt, kiss my butt club, that's going to be impressive. So I'd like to have seen that. So.
Yeah. Well, it's going to continue on here to SmackDown, June 7th, 2001, episode number 94 of SmackDown. We see Undertaker pacing around backstage. You know, he's trying to find this guy, whoever it is. He's going to be waiting for him. Kane is lacing up his boots next to him, and Taker decides to go in the parking lot to meet Shane when he arrives. And if Shane McMahon doesn't give him the right answers about being Sara's stalker, well, he's going to destroy him. So, Commissioner Regal tells Vince that he's got security outside waiting to keep Shane McMahon out of the building when he arrives, and Vince says, oh, no, let him in, because I want Undertaker to take care of him. So Vince is plotting, trying to use this angle to try to eliminate Shane McMahon. We get another Stalker video as Sara is getting into a truck, into a parking lot, and the Stalker says, the Undertaker is threatening me, but I do not take kindly to threats. Sara, I bet you feel safe in the parking lot with all these people, but you're not. Where are you going, Sara? Going for a ride, Sara? Maybe you want a little company. Something like that.
Master Yoda. No, that was pretty good.
That was all right. It was all right. Yeah. Then Undertaker sees, he's out there, he's pacing around the parking lot. We see clips of that all through the night. And finally a WCW limo pops up, but apparently Shane is not the one in it. I don't think we ever find out who exactly is in it. But Taker...
Oh, what?
Yeah. Taker opens the door and tells whoever's in the limo to pick another night. Tonight's not your night. Tells them to tell Shane that the Undertaker is looking for him.
I love that. You just pick a different night, close the door. It's like, don't forget to knock. Pick another night. Find yourself a woman. He's got all kind of like advice for people. I love it. Dr. Phil.
Maybe it was Goldberg, man. He decided he was gonna come join the invasion, but Taker told him to pick another night, and he was like, Nah, forget this, man.
Oh, maybe it was Sting.
Sting.
It's like could have been it right there.
Dang it, Undertaker. You ruined it.
Yeah.
Taker and Kane end up finding Shane backstage at the show, and Undertaker just unloads on him when he sees him, beats the crap out of him, slams him into this ice cooler in the back, and Kane pulls them apart and tells Taker that Shane's telling the truth, man. He has nothing to do with these Stalker videos. It's not him. And then Taker, out of frustration, he, like, for a shoot, nearly punches a hole in this cooler out of frustration. I don't know how he didn't break his hand, because he just legitimately punched it full force, this metal cooler. And that's the end of things on that episode of SmackDown. As Undertaker is still no closer to finding out who the Stalker is, but he's on the right track of things, that it is someone here in WCW, as we're going to find out. Right.
And I can't overstate how good of a bumper Shane is, man. Like, for being not a worker, like, Shane's a great bumper, man. Like, and he always has great matches. They're always entertaining, and maybe not great, maybe that's the wrong word, but they're always entertaining, and he knows how to bump. I think even to this
he doesn't know how to punch, but he knows how to bump.
No, he punches like my 12-week-old daughter, but he can bump like, I don't know, somebody that bumps well. I was gonna say Shawn Michaels, but that's not true. So.
Well, let me say one other thing about this show. Since we've talked about Jerry Lynn a bunch on this show, on this episode of SmackDown, Jeff Hardy beats Jerry Lynn for the Light Heavyweight Championship, and that pretty much does it for Jerry Lynn. We're going to see him in the WWF Job Squad here later on during the invasion, but that's pretty much the end of any relevancy that he would ever have in the WWF on this episode. Yeah. So.
And it sucks. It's a shame. It's a crying shame to me personally.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't. Well, he wasn't in the Alliance. I don't know why he didn't hang around for that.
I don't know. There's several people that could have been in it. Tajiri could have been on the Alliance's team,
right?
But as Wes Regal calls him, Tajiri. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff. But I don't think a lot of it made that much sense. But anyway, well, speaking of that, let's go to Raw 420. Rob Van Dam's favorite episode. This is on June 11th, 2001. So backstage, we see Shane thanking Kane for saving him from Taker on SmackDown, and he's like, I got an idea who could be stalking Sara. He's like, think of one person who interferes in marriages. Like Triple H and Stephanie's. A couple years ago, it's Kurt Angle. Because again, this is because Kurt and Shane are now feuding because
Yep.
I forgot to mention, for some reason, after Angle got his medals back at Judgment Day, the next night he came out for like a coronation.
Yep.
And Shane just interrupts for no reason to start their feud. So they're feuding. But, it is a pretty cool continuity here that he's like, Shane or Kane, or excuse me, Kurt is a homewrecker. So, it could be him.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kurt comes out for a promo, and he's like, I'm going to beat Benoit in a cage match tonight, which, again, I'll never forget that match either.
What a stretch of TV matches.
I know. Like, and it was just so rare for that day even, to get these just epic 5-star matches on Raw and SmackDown just back to back to back to back, especially because there was no competition on the other channel. So,
and they all involve Chris Benoit, too.
Yeah,
he was
crazy.
He was on fire.
Yeah, he was, man. And so, anyway, Kurt he calls out Shane since he's a coward, and instead, our boy Undertaker answers the challenge. He comes to the ring, and he's getting in Angle's face, and he's like, you better start talking while you still got teeth in your mouth. So he's just really threatening people, and Kurt's like,
what are you talking about? Whoa. Hey, I'm sorry some maniac is stalking your wife, but I got better things to do. First of all, I met your wife once. I didn't even like her. I didn't even find her attractive.
This is perfect Kurt Angle, man. Like, he's amazing. And Taker just immediately, when he hears that line, he just clobbers him, and gives him this absolutely enormous Yuletide wedgie last ride. Like, his pants are up there, man. It is crazy.
Why is it a Yuletide wedgie?
Oh, that's from a Ren and Stimpy episode way back in the day.
Sorry.
I'm dating myself here. But anyway, at this point, after this special Yuletide wedgie, last ride powerbomb that Kurt Angle hasn't received in several months, we get another Stalker video. And it says, and I'll try my Stalker voice here.
Undertaker, we're back here at your home, but Sarah's not there. Where is she? What have you done with her? I don't know where Sarah... Oh, excuse me. Wait a minute.
Just like the video.
Yeah, exactly.
I know where Sarah is. Yeah, she's here in her hotel room where you've hidden her. Trying to keep Sarah away from me? I don't like that, Undertaker. I don't like you keeping Sarah away from me. I'm growing tired of your games, Undertaker. Very tired of your games. I'm warning you, don't keep her away from me, because wherever Sarah is, I'll be. I left your wife a special message.
And then it goes to show...
He's a big Edwin McCain fan.
He's also going to be a big... oh, goodness. What's that band with... Lipstick on the Wall, Goodbye Says It All.
Blackhawk.
Blackhawk. He leaves a message that says, Sarah, I know where you are, and on the wall. And so then he shows him going through her underwear. So, yeah, there's lipstick on the wall that says, I know where you are, which reminds me of, like, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and this whole voiceover reminds me of Scream, which it's weird.
It is weird. It's, it's something different that they're trying, and... It's a mystery angle, which it does. I love a good mystery angle, man. We've talked about it. It's hard to have a good payoff.
Yeah,
but it does.
Exactly.
It always intrigues people. It always gets the internet talking. It gets fans invested. So I appreciate that they're trying things here. But yeah, it is definitely pushing the boundaries of wrestling. How is this really work for a wrestling storyline? And I don't know.
Mysteries literally never pay off. I can't think of one.
Kane. That's what we talked about.
Kane.
That's the best possible example of one that ever paid off. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, we get a theory here on SmackDown on June 14th, 2001, as Michael Cole and Taz show the Stalker video from Monday, and someone in the crowd has a theory that I wish would have paid off.
Oh, yeah?
That says... Kamala stalks Sarah. And I wish that were the case, man. He takes the mask off and he just starts patting his belly. Kamala.
And starts singing Edwin McCain.
God. What might have been.
Oh man, can you imagine if Harvey Whippleman was doing the voiceover or Kimchi?
Kind of. I can kind of imagine that.
Actually, in real life, I could.
Exactly. Well, this was around the time. I don't know if you remember this, dude, but someone posted. I remember someone posted a video online or audio that was this Stalker voice from one of these promos. It was sped up to full speed, and it showed that it was actually Vince McMahon doing the voiceovers on these videos. And I believe it was on like Scott Keith's website. I think they were the ones that broke it, but I remember that. And then, that became the new rumor that, it's Vince McMahon doing these videos. But, obviously he was just doing the promo, but that didn't mean he was the one doing the stalking.
This is the Undertaker's wife, Sara. Combing her beautiful blonde hair. She has a nice figure. Where's your husband, Sara? I bet you feel safe. But you're not. Where are you going, Sara? Are you all alone at home, Sara? Maybe you want a little company. Because wherever Sara is, I'll be.
Do you think he was the one rubbing his hands to Sarah's underwear? Because probably was.
100%, yes.
Yeah, without question.
Without question.
Oh, is it kind of weird though that it's Vince doing them? Like, it's one of those like weird, like real like life things. Like does he really want to do this? But he's just like, oh, we'll just write into the show so I can actually do it.
Like him and Tori Wilson coming up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Like him and Trish and all that stuff. It's like, oh, I got a good idea. Involves a hot blonde.
Well, Kurt Angle had a great idea because he's going to be facing Undertaker here on SmackDown. So he's going to look for backup in his match from none other than the X Factor. That's who he's going to go for backup. We see him talking to these guys. He says,
like Archangel and Beast and stuff. Like
that would have been a much better choice. But unfortunately, he's talking to Albert, X-Pac, Just Incredible, and he says that he's like,
you X Factor guys are pretty cool. Albert, X-Pac, Just Incredible. Justin, if you say your last name immediately after your first name, it sounds like Just Incredible. Get it? Just Incredible. All right. Hey, Incredible. See you, man. All right, guys. I'll see you.
Kurt Angle, MVP of this episode.
He's so good, man. He's so good.
And then Undertaker is going to face Kurt Angle here, and it's a very different Undertaker. He's very stoic, no posing. He's not raising his fist. He does ride the motorcycle out to the ring, but he is all business here. He's obviously very upset. The announcers are wondering, hoping that he's got Sara in a safe place tonight. And Undertaker basically uses this match with Kurt as a way to vent his frustrations. He just beats the crap out of Kurt for a couple minutes. Eventually goes outside and grabs the stairs and slams them into Kurt. Undertaker doesn't care that he gets disqualified for this.
Right.
Kurt's back up. X Factor comes into the ring, and it's a choke slam party. Undertaker just keeps choke slamming all of them. It's great.
Can we get that T-shirt like this?
Choke slam party.
Super King party. Let's get choke slam party.
The invasion itself is going to continue to roll on as Shane brings out Stacy Keibler to make her debut, and
I will not forget this either.
Of course not. She does a little dance to distract Rhino, which allows Test to win the hardcore title, and that's going to play into our storyline here because Test is cutting a promo backstage celebrating his win when he's back in front of like the interview set with the video screen, and all of a sudden while he's talking, another Stalker video interrupts his promo, and this time it's Sara at a hotel. She's riding an exercise bike. She gets into the pool. She got a bikini on, but she's got security with her. And the Stalker is obviously enjoying this view of Sara, but he says it's finally time to reveal himself. I'm tired of your games, Undertaker. It's time for the Undertaker's dreams to end and for mine to come true. And then we cut back to the arena, and Undertaker punches the wall out of frustration. But finally, the mystery is going to be revealed here on Monday Night Raw. The internet is buzzing. What is going on? Who could it possibly be? I don't remember who I thought it was going to be, but I was definitely, as weird as this whole thing was, it's a mystery, man, so I'm intrigued by it.
Well, you know who I didn't didn't think it was at all?
Who's that?
Who it's going to be.
No, you're right. Absolutely not.
So, yeah, I remember just being intrigued, though, who's it going to be? It's got to be a WCW guy. I mean, we've kind of already set that bar, but who's it going to be? It's not going to be Sting. Could it be Flair? He's kind of creepy, I could see Flair doing it. I don't know, man. I just didn't know who was going to be some kind of big star from WCW, but whew, here we go. Buckle up. So we get Raw 421. This is June 18th, 2001. So we get this video compilation of all the Stalker videos. So and just let's take a step back for a second. If this were real, like we're supposed to take it seriously, do you think Taker really wants them playing all these again and again over on television?
Probably not his favorite thing.
Yeah, it's like I would ask them to, I don't know, take the tape out of the truck or something. So, but anyway, so as Hardcore Holly's making his way to the ring, he gets a jobber entrance because the Stalker cuts his music and shows some more footage, and it's like he's like, "I'm here tonight, right here in Tampa, but yesterday I was filming. I was with Undertaker and Sara. Undertaker thinks he's protecting Sara," and we see Taker in like a straw cowboy hat, and he's opening the passenger door for his giant like F-350, and they're getting in the truck, and he's like, "Hey," he talks to Sara. He's like, "Hey, go grab your dad's skill saw from the garage." And so she walks over to the garage and grabs it, and of course the skill saw is directly in front of where the Stalker and his long camera lens are. So, and then the Stalker's like, "Oh yes, it's over here next to me. Undertaker, your tomorrows are over because tonight there will be no more disguising my voice, no more hiding my face. Tonight the games are over, Undertaker. Tonight in the ring, the world will find out who I am and why I'm here. I just wish Sara was here with me." And then we see the Stalker walk through the garage as they pull off in their big old truck. So we get his body, we get like from his waist down, kind of like he's one of the Muppet Babies, like parents or something, like, or whatever, the nanny or Cow and Chicken's parents. We just get the waist down guy.
That's it. That was their influence.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, man, though, the crowd seemed pretty pumped to hear that, the Stalker's going to be here, like, who's it going to be? And I know I was too. Again, I had two reasons I wrote down my notes here. One, to end this godforsaken angle, because it's kind of weird, but I do want to know who it was. And then two is just to see, which wrestler is going to get this huge spotlight on him, because again, who's it gonna like? I'm just imagining: is it Mike Sanders? Is it Reno? Is it Sean Stasiak? Is it Chavo? Like, who is it? Some jabroni like that, or is it going to be a big name? Because we had those of us smarks that were on the internet at that time. We knew that there were only a certain amount of guys that got their contracts taken over by WWF. But who's it going to be? Who's going to get this spotlight put on him? So later on, we get Taker's music hits, and it's supposed to be at home and not at the arena, but his music hits and we get this figure in all black leather and a black ski mask. They ride out on his motorcycle, and at first the crowd pops because Taker's not supposed to be here. He's here though to confront the Stalker. But anyway, as this masked figure comes out, JR says, "You ain't got to be Dick Tracy to see that ain't the Undertaker." What is with all the Dick Tracy stuff?
He's making a comeback.
We had it 2 weeks ago. We got it now. It's just like...
Well, Vince McMahon is always like 10, 15 years behind on movies, so maybe
he's like
just
40
saw
years behind.
Oh, the 1990 Dick Tracy movie. That's the one he just saw.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I have the toys from that.
Me too, man.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
Was that Warren Beatty?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
it was
Madonna.
good stuff, man. Yeah, I always appreciated Duck Twacey. Remember that cartoon? The Donald Duck
Maybe
Twacey?
that was the influence, yeah.
Could have been. So, anyway, the Stalker gets in the ring, raises his fist in the air, and the lights are out. The spotlight's just on him. And then the rest of the lights come on. It's a really good production right here.
Yes.
The lights come on. Camera zooms in. He pulls off his mask to reveal Diamond Dallas Page.
Crazy.
Who then, it's just weird, man. Like, I did not see it coming because it's so not DDP. This is not a DDP thing to do. Like, the DDP we knew from WCW, this is not him at all. So I just remember being taken aback. Like, wow. And speaking of stuff being miscast, I don't know if he was given much direction here because he does his diamond cutter sign to like the delight of half the crowd because you're getting Diamond Dallas Page in the WWF properly, not just driving a pink Cadillac to the ring at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
What was that? 6, 3, 5? I don't remember which one it was, but anyway, this is him for real. He's going to be a wrestler on our TVs now. So you get half the crowd is like, it's hard not to put the diamond cutter symbol up, and it can't be stated how over that symbol was and that move. So half the crowd's loving it, and half the crowd's like, what?
Yeah.
It's weird. They're just confused, and I don't know, man.
That's what I was talking about earlier. DDP. Well, first of all, it was a great reveal because for a moment, for just that moment when you see him, because that lives up to the hype, man. That's a huge one. WCW's absolute top stars coming in. That lives up to the hype right there. But DDP, I know he had been a heel in WCW for a while. He had done that, but come on, he was the original People's Champ. I mean, before The Rock was the People's Champ, DDP was the People's Champ, and that's what he played that role best when he's against the NWO. He's the one guy who's not going to join the NWO, and he's there with not Rodman. He's there with Malone, and he's there with Jay Leno or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's DDP, and to have him become this type of just dirtbag, scumbag, evil character, he's miscast. It's not. It's not the right part for him, and it's confusing.
It is, man, and it's I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm like dumbfounded at this point in my life too, just thinking about it. It's just weird.
Now the promo he gives and his reasonings, it's pretty good. Like it's pretty logical.
Yeah. Well, he also, before I get to that, he's the actual DDP in real life has gone on record saying that he brought it up to Vince, like, I want to do People's Champion versus People's Champion, me and The Rock. That writes itself. That makes so much sense. But Vince just, he's got to do his own thing with him, and so this is what we got. But yeah, you're right, man. He goes on to say in the ring here, he's like, Undertaker, like the diamond cutter, you never saw it coming, which is true. He's right. So then he goes on to explain,
if you want to make an impact in this business, you go after the biggest, the meanest, the baddest dog in the yard. And once you find that dog, if you want to get the very best of them, you make it personal. Real personal. And then, hey, you find that dog's weakness.
So he says that, Taker has never shown weakness until he told Stone Cold a few weeks ago that if he ever messed with his family, he's going to make him famous. Which is true. Taker said that. We've covered that, And so he says that DDP says he got his wheels turning, and he saw the dead man sounding very alive. He says, and for you, son, that's a sign of weakness. Then calls Taker a liar since he knows he's afraid of something now. So, he's always, not been afraid of anything, but now he knows that he's got a weakness. So then he mocks him, saying, like, you couldn't even come here to compete tonight. And he said, but there's a positive side, too, and that's that DDP has now made your wife famous. So just, kind of riffing on his make me famous, or I'll make you famous, tagline and stuff. So, and then DDP is like, nobody deserves to be more famous than me, DDP. And I'm using you to get to the top of the business, and I will see you at King of the Ring. You got a problem with me? Cool, Taker. I'm begging you. Make me famous. And
make me famous.
Yeah.
Says it so weird.
Taker, I'm begging you. Make me famous.
That was a good delivery, yeah. So, but then he leaves through the crowd, and quote-unquote security's coming to get him, but he stops to do the diamond cutter sign, like he's a big baby face. When he was a heel in WCW, he didn't do that. He left up the rampway back to the audience, back to the locker room. He didn't go to the crowd. Do a diamond cutter sign. Like, it's just like he didn't get, like an agent didn't tell him what to do, and it's just weird, man. I don't know, because he was like the second or third biggest babyface and the People's Champion, and now he's just, the fans are confused instantly.
Exactly.
And it's instantly.
the promo's way too long. The fans kind of lose interest in it halfway through it. He could have. I think everything he says is logical. Like, it makes sense. He sees weakness in one of the WWF's biggest guys, so he's gonna exploit that, and he wants to become a big guy and do that. He could have got that across in half the time, and if this whole Stalker business had stopped right there, I think I could have bought it. Like, he's using mind games to get his foot in the door. And then after that, he's going to, go back to being the DDP that we've all known and loved. But it doesn't. He, literally becomes this creepy stalker type person, which is miscast. That's just not DDP. And, sometimes you can change people's characters and have it work, but it doesn't here, man. It just doesn't.
No, it's weird, and something else is weird. I guess no offense to Lance Storm, but Paul Heyman completely looks over the fact that he was the first invader, and he's like, this was the opening shot in the conflict between the WWF and WCW, and now everybody is going to be involved in this conflict. Which, again, not true. Lance Storm's super kick on Perry Saturn was,
and Stacy Keibler.
And Stacey Keibler, but we keep saying that Taker's responsible for all these things in history. He's responsible for, him and DDP are responsible for that opening shot here. So there you go. You're welcome.
Oh, thanks, Perry.
Yeah, no problem. We're getting to that soon.
Oh, it's happening. Yeah, it's already in on all this stuff. And I guess I never put together that his whole character was someone who has CTE. But
yes,
it's kind of weird to watch in 2019. But,
because Bradshaw powerbombed him 6 times in a row. It was because he actually legit went nuts on that referee.
Yeah, on the jobber. Yeah,
or the jobber. Yeah. Anyway.
All right, let's go home to King of the Ring with SmackDown. It's June 21st, 2001. We get a recap. The show actually opens with the video recap in the Stalker angle, so that's positioned as the main thing on this episode of SmackDown. Yeah. And Taker is doing his signature, waiting around in the parking lot on someone to arrive. He's waiting on DDP. He's got Sara with him this time. They're both looking to get their hands on Dallas. Limo arrives to the show, and Vince pops out, and Undertaker's ready to beat him up now. But he begs off, saying he didn't have a thing to do with DDP on Monday, and he assures Taker that he won't be allowed anywhere near the building tonight. And this is important here. Taker says he wants DDP to be allowed in if he shows up so that he can send him to the depths of hell. So they actually use this justification later on throughout some of this invasion stuff, that Taker's the reason why DDP gets to keep coming to these shows, because he gives him his permission to arrive to the event. So
there you go.
There it is. Taker and Sara are going to make their way out to the ring. They stop in the hallway by Kane, and Kane tells his brother that if DDP shows up with any of his WCW cronies, then he's got his back. Taker says he appreciates it, and so Taker and Sara make their way out for the very first time on WWF television together out in the arena. Here it begins.
Talk about ripping away the aura of the mystique.
The guy who's miscast here, man. We just... It's one thing to try to bring some realism to The Undertaker with this whole biker character, but in much the same way, I didn't want to see Stone Cold with his wife Deborah as a babyface. It kind of gives him a new element as a heel, but I don't really care about Undertaker and his wife. It's just strange, man. This guy, the dead man, the phenom, the Lord of Darkness, the man who walks with angels, and now he's this regular guy with his wife on screen together. But
maybe his wife's name is Angels. Sarah Angels.
Oh, the man who walks with her. Yeah,
exactly.
Cowboys for angels, bikers for angels.
Yikes!
Well, Taker cuts an impassioned promo here, man. He's going, "Who in the hell is Diamond Dallas Page? He's the sorry SOB. I'm gonna beat the hell out of the first chance that I get." Taker runs down all the crimes that DDP has committed, including trespassing and being a peeping Tom and etc.
And you did this because you want to be famous. Paige, you're not famous because you suck.
Attaboy. Way to put over your opponent.
Yeah. Well, Taker says over the past decade of destruction, he's compiled a list of every wrestler who he's whooped, and on that list is a lot of famous names, and Page's name is about to go right up to the top. So Taker promises to give Page the worst beating he's ever given everybody, and invites DDP to show up for that beating at King of the Ring. Well, DDP answers with a video on the screen. We hear just his voice at first. Yo, it's me, DDP. And then we see DDP at home at Undertaker's house. And DDP is acting like he's on an episode of Cribs. He gives us a tour of the place, including the shower where he's watched Sara. Yeah, Caroni.
See, that's unnecessary.
The bedroom. We see DDP going through Sara's underwear drawer yet again. And then DDP jumps up on Undertaker's bed and demonstrates a few early DDP yoga moves on there.
No way.
Yeah, downward dog. Road Warrior 1. And Paige promises to meet Undertaker at King of the Ring. So Taker and Sara are not amused by any of this, and a very light Taker chants break out in the arena in support, but mainly the crowd is just really confused. They really just don't know how to react to any of this, man.
Yeah, it's strange, man. I don't know. Like, again, the reveal was cool for about 40 seconds, and then the ship sailed. So anyway, well
let's take a ship sailing to King of the Ring 2001.
Yeah, let's come sail away at King of the Ring. June 24th, 01. Again, this is not an episode for King of the Ring because I don't actually have a match here, but we're cramming it in here because it's necessary. So this is from the Continental Airlines Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. DDP's backyard, man. He's a Jersey boy.
That's right, yeah. Jersey Triad.
Exactly, man. What if...
I should have brought them out with him. Yeah.
Should have. You came out with Champagne Canyon and Bam Bam.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, anyway, he actually opens the show. DDP does with this, WCW Titantron and a new theme song, which it's a turd, man.
You don't like it?
It's
Not
awful.
Yeah.
Not when his other theme is as iconic as a ripoff of Nirvana. It's the Smells Like Teen Spirit ripoff. That's great.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal. You. Everyone knows it. Then you got, yo, it's me, it's DDP. It's stupid, man. That's one of my least favorite Jim Johnson themes of all time.
I'm with you.
So, anyway, but he comes out through the crowd and he's in his black raincoat and black attire, and I mean he's just looking black, man. He's just black everywhere.
Man in black.
Exactly. So again, hitting the diamond cutter sign, and people kind of pop for it, but they're like, I'm supposed to hate you because you're stalking Taker. So I don't know, man. And he's going to grab a microphone from Howard Finkel to address the Undertaker. I don't really get why you're so ticked off last week. The stuff I showed was just the PG stuff. I had the personal collection, and it gets more than just a thumbs up, which, ooh. That's just, this is before Blue Chew was a thing. So anyway, he's like, I see it as, I'm coming into your house and kicking your butt all over this yard. And he said, tomorrow on Raw, DDP will be the first WCW superstar to ever step foot into Madison Square Garden. So he shows his front row ticket and reveals that a sign that he's going to be holding that says, "Make me famous." And it's got an arrow pointing down to him. So no subtlety there.
Not at all, man. But we're going to revisit him as the show continues on. Paul Heyman goes over to interview DDP, and DDP talks about he's the only one that's got the balls to come after Undertaker. But as he's talking, we see another different type of Stalker video pop up on the screen, and this time it's some Stalker footage of DDP himself. We see him ordering a meal, sitting down at the hotel or restaurant somewhere, eating food, and DDP is not happy about this. He does not find this amusing, and is getting very irritated at Undertaker turning the tables on him.
Yeah, he's like, he's not excited about it, but he's, tells Taker to come out and make him famous, and that's what he wants to do. So later on, we get the Dudleys retaining their tag titles against Spike Dudley and Kane. So
weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, we're treated to DDP again in the front row, and we see more footage of him being filmed now as we see him walking to his car. And at this point, DDP's like, I'm getting really, really irritated by this. I'm right here. I'm right here, Taker. So he's getting more and more impatient and angry. One more just note here I want to just say is that X Factor's music is fully intact here on King of the Ring. So you're welcome. Check it out.
Another thing to hate about this episode.
I got everything I ever wanted.
Oh, nope, I'm going to hang up. We cut back to seeing DDP out in the crowd. He's getting frustrated. He's ready to fight Undertaker. He didn't know what's taking so long. And Undertaker plays more mind games with him. He's got video footage of DDP arriving to the arena, stalking him, turning the tables on him. This DDP is screaming out, "You're not getting to me, you're not getting to me," but obviously he is. And
right.
DDP finally hops the guardrail, jumps into the ring, demands that Undertaker make his way out. But we're going to see more footage of DDP backstage, and then the camera holder turns the camera around, and it's not Undertaker doing the filming here, it's Sara.
That's right. It's me, Sara. And now, DDP, it's time for you to become famous.
I will say, that did get a nice little pop from the crowd as she says that, because I think it's because they know Undertaker's about to come out here and deliver the little mud hole stomping.
I was going to say, that comment gets a pop, but when she initially turns into reveal it as her, I didn't hear anything, man. Like,
yes.
The reveal of it being her, like,
right.
I don't know if it's just because fans knew it was her, but yeah, when she says, it's time for you to become famous, then they pop, like you said, because they know Limp Bizkit's coming, man. They know Limp Bizkit's coming. Fred Durst's going to come busting to the PA, and then old Big Daddy Deadman's coming down to collect.
Well, somebody in the crowd knew it was coming. They had a good "Keep on Rolling" sign in the crowd.
There you go.
Keep rolling. ROLLEN.
So many misspellings, man. It's great. So, yeah, man, Taker's music hits, and he just kind of strolls out casually, And it wound up making sense, but I just, initially my notes I wrote, you think he'd be running to the ring, just bum rushing it. But honestly, I kind of like the way he did this.
Oh, yeah. He's stalking his prey, dude. I really like this.
Yeah, I did, man. It's cool. And so, and DDP, I love that he's a stalker and he's got elbow pads on.
Yeah, talk about that. Yeah. He takes his trench coat off and he's got his elbow pads on.
He's got his wrestling gear on. But it's cool because Taker just kind of walks out there and he's just kind of shaking his head, and he pulls his UFC gloves, out of his pocket and kind of puts them on, takes his sweet time, and
yeah,
that
was really cool.
Yeah, it really is, man. Like you said, stalking his prey. I didn't even really think about that, but he's kind of become the stalker now, and it's just really, really neat because commentaries, talking about him, playing mind games with DDP. Again, you think if it was Steve Austin would have rushed the ring, but Taker's a little more methodical, so it really did play into it well. But pretty cool stuff.
He, Undertaker, that is. Well, let's start again. DDP actually, though, is going to finally get frustrated. He's going to strike first as these two guys, two stalwarts of their company, man. Two of the biggest stars, homegrown stars of their respective companies, go face to face, man. It is kind of a cool visual. Kind of the first time we've seen two guys from WCW and WWF really fight here. They trade fists, but Undertaker quickly takes over with some ground and pound, and he is going to dominate this encounter pretty much. DDP does get a little Death Valley blow to create some space between them and is able to nail a few right hands, but Taker fights right back up and eventually tosses DDP out of the ring. Yeah,
and they're out of the ring and they're fighting. It's just a big brawl. And Sara comes down to the ring at this point with a camcorder, and she's got some jeans that would make Garth Brooks happy, man. It's got this American flag emblazoned on them, and they're no Survivor Series 2000 snakeskin pants, but they are some Garth Brooks pants, man. But basically, I just wrote, man, Taker is squashing DDP, thus kind of eliminating any kind of official match they'd ever need to have. I mean, he is ruining him, and the crowd is getting tired of it already. Don't you think? Like, they're just kind of already like, okay.
100%, man. They're not treated as equals,
right?
Which is what this needs to be to work. To be this, if Paul Heyman's saying that this is the first official, battle between these two companies, the first strikes between these two companies, wouldn't you want two guys that are equal? But no, it's this, slow picking apart of Diamond Dallas Page, which I understand from Undertaker needing to get revenge or whatever, but it doesn't need to be the first thing that happens between them, where he extracts all of his revenge pretty much right here in this moment.
Well, because when you're building a heel and a babyface feud, you get heat. The heel gets heat. Well, the Stalker stuff wasn't heat because we didn't know it was DDP until last week.
Yep. So
he needs to get his heat here, and then Taker gets the big win, his WrestleMania moment or whatever. You get the big win back and you go send the fans home happy. But DDP had 1 week to get his heat, and then that's it. Like, once we finally knew it was him. And all of his heat is gone. And he tries to get some back. He gets some chair shots, and then Taker spears him over the announce table and beats him up some more. And then some more. Then some more. He does a little bit more, and then in a funny moment, though, DDP calls for a timeout, which is kind of neat. It's a little Ric Flair move.
Yeah, I always enjoy that. They get a chair involved, they go fighting all around the announce table. They fight into the crowd, and it just goes on and on and on, like you said, way too long. It could have been cut in half, or even down to 1/3 of the length that it was. And had some officials pulling them apart, or had some more WCW guys debut.
Yeah.
Like we said, that would have actually been worked if Canyon and Bam Bam had come out, or I guess Bam Bam wasn't involved. I wish he was involved in the invasion, but any two WCW guys, or having Kane get involved, having anything happen, but. DDP escapes to higher ground. He runs over the guardrail and runs away.
I love the guardrail.
And Undertaker and Sara stand tall as JR says on commentary that, oh man, this is just getting started between these two. And I just thought, really? Because that looked like a pretty decisive end to whatever's going on here, man. Looked like Taker got as much revenge as he needed right there. But unfortunately, he was right, and it was really just getting started between these two.
Yeah, it's like the saying, sorry to be a dead horse. It should be like, now it's sorry to be DDP, because it just kept going on and on. I mean, the point was made really quickly.
Yep.
And then the point was made again, and then the point was made again, and again, and again. It's too much, man. Just too much.
Yeah, I guess by not having an official match, they were trying to protect DDP in a sense, but that didn't work, man. You pretty much killed him right out the gate. Yeah, and he was never the same. He was never, his WWF career right here was pretty much ended in this moment. Yeah,
it began and ended right here. I mean, he had a WrestleMania match the next year, but that's it.
Yeah,
honestly.
For the European title.
Against Christian, yeah.
Alright folks, that's going to do it for this first chunk of our show, but before we dive into the real invasion stuff right here in the second half of the show, I want to encourage you to take a pause, maybe grab a drink or something if you need a break from this show, or if you're just looking for even more great content, much down the same line of what we're doing here on Talking Taker. I want to encourage you guys to check out our brother show, the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast.
Hey there, creatures of the night. I'm Mike Prue, along with my pal JV. We are from the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. I'm sure you guys are enjoying Alex and Travis dig up the dead man's past every week here on Talking Taker. If you like this type of format, you may want to check us out. We are the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast, the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're breaking down his career month by month, just like Travis and Alex do here on Talking Taker. We have covered from his debut in January of 1996 as the Ringmaster, and we are currently heading into 1998. So please take a chance and listen to the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. We are available on most platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean. We are also on Twitter at Bottom Line Cast. Thanks, creatures of the night. Especially thanks to your gracious hosts, Alex and Travis. Take her easy.
Well, that's going to take us into the next night on Raw, Raw 422 on June 25th, 01. And so apparently it's announced right from the get-go of the show, we're getting the Brothers of Destruction versus the Dudley Boys for the WWF Tag Team titles tonight in MSG. So somewhere along the line, the Dudleys have won the titles from Benoit and Jericho. I don't remember when that happened, but anyway, this is it. They're at Madison Square Garden, so this is WWF's home. So you know that this invasion thing is going to happen, and DDP already said he's going to be the first one to step foot in MSG, but we'll see who it actually is. So the hallowed grounds of MSG, Mike Awesome is going to be the first one to appear, and he actually wins the hardcore title from Powerbomb and Rhino on a ladder. And I'll just, again, as I mentioned earlier, I will never, ever forget that moment. I'll never forget seeing that. I still am a huge Mike Awesome fan.
Yeah, we both were.
We both really were. I mean, that guy could do stuff that he shouldn't have been able to do, and he was just incredible. I loved his WCW stuff. I was mad when he was the Fat Chick Thriller and that 70s guy and all that stuff, but whatever. It was just, I don't know. He just never got the shot in the big leagues like he should have.
He had a long run on top in my SmackDown video game federation.
Yes.
Man, he was world champion for a long time, and yeah, we marked out to see him become the first WCW guy to win a title here in the WWF, and that was huge. Yeah. And I will never understand why he didn't quite click in the WWF, man. It seemed like he had it all, but yeah, it's a shame. God rest his soul, man. Yeah,
it's a shame that he didn't, and you got guys like, I don't know, Baron Corbin, Lars Sullivan, go get him promoted. So anyway, but later on, Sara comes out with Taker for his tag match, and I just wrote this bizarre to see because I didn't know that she'd come out with him on SmackDown before. So it's just weird to see her coming out with him. But it's a decent back and forth match with the Dudleys, and then Albert's going to interfere because. So Albert's going to interfere. Well, maybe because he was backing up Kurt Angle a few weeks ago. I don't know, but anyway, he hits a Baldo bomb on Kane, and then Devon covers Kane for the win. And then after that, Taker just turns around, chokeslams Bubba to a huge pop from the MSG crowd, and then Sarah's in the ring applauding Taker, and they go up the ramp and do the arm, and they both do the arm raise pose. So that sucks. Sorry, hashtag blame Sara. They go to do that, and DDP comes from behind and nails Taker with a chair, and then Sara gets in his face and is like putting her dukes up, man, like getting ready to brawl with him. So, yep. And then DDP grabs her by the hair and rips out a huge chunk of a weave, and it was just so much weave, dude. And like, I just wrote again, if this is legit, and we're supposed to believe that the amount of hair he pulled out, she would need to go to the doctor immediately. Like, she'd have been bleeding profusely. He pulls out like a 4-foot long thing of hair. Like, it wasn't just like Mick Foley pulling his own hair. It was a huge weave. So then later on during the break, Taker consoles her, and again, that's just also weird to see him consoling, anybody. So I don't know, because this is the guy that levitates and murders Dennis Knight on stage, So now he's consoling his wife. So it's strange.
That's one of the other flaws with this whole thing. We're trying to come up with all of them here, but just the fact that Sara was portrayed as this, tough person who's ready to fight these guys.
Yeah.
She's ready to fight DDP, and it'd be one thing if she was, had the presence of like China, which she doesn't. Sure. She doesn't, stand out like that, and she's not established as a wrestler. Like, I don't know, like Trish Stratus or Lita or something. Like, it'd be one thing if they were bowing up and ready to fight a guy like DDP. Exactly. But we don't even, who is Sara? Why is she so fearless and ready to fight these guys? And I think that's why it puts one of the reasons why it put such a sour taste in people's mouths is that she was being forced on screen, and she's being given a bigger push than half the guys on the roster in this moment.
Exactly. Well, it's crazy, man. And speaking of guys on the roster, I want to just take a little detour real quick, if we may. I'd like to talk about something that happens right before the SmackDown you're about to talk about. So, in between this Raw and SmackDown, they're going to air. I guess this may have happened. I guess SmackDown's already filmed, but anyway, down in Ohio Valley Wrestling in OVW in Louisville, Kentucky, there's a show called OVW Last Dance. It's either June 27th or 28th. I've seen both dates online. I don't know which one is actually correct, but anyway, we see the Brothers of Destruction tag in the main event against DDP and Leviathan.
How about it?
Exactly. Those of you who don't know who Leviathan was, that's the future Batista. So what was this? It was like the creature from the deep or something, the Leviathan. I don't know. But anyway, the Brothers of Destruction win by DQ, and I just want to list, if I may, a few other guys that were also on this show. This is apparently like their WrestleMania down there, OVW. So we got Doug and Danny Basham. Yep.
Yikes.
Which
no thanks.
I know to us, no thanks, but in OVW they were like the top dogs. So
they were.
But
yeah, right.
We got Rob Conway. Love him. We got Sylvester Turkai, whatever.
Yeah, yikes again.
Brock Lesnar.
There we go.
Randy Orton. Rico Constantino.
Okay.
Love him. Malenko and Saturn tag match. Mark Henry's also there. Big Show's also on the card. The Prototype, which again, those of you not paying attention, that's the future John Cena. Nick Dinsmore, would ultimately play Eugene. Beautiful Bobby Eaton in a who we covered last week on this episode.
We did a little bit, yeah.
And then Chris Jericho. So what a crazy card that was, man.
How cool would that have been?
Yeah, really cool, man. But again, I wouldn't have thought that DDP and Batista ever had a tag match against Kane and Undertaker, but pretty cool there. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
It is actually available on the WWE Network over in the Hidden Gems section. You can find that match. It's listed as June 30th, 2001.
Okay.
On the network, but yeah, somewhere around then.
Yeah, I found a bunch of dates, and whatever. Who knows when it actually was? One of them could have been when it was filmed. One could have been when it aired. I don't really know. So
yeah. Well, I've got maybe someday down the line, I wouldn't mind doing a special episode just talking about some of Undertaker's hidden gems that they have on the network. I think that'd be a fun bonus show to do, to review some of those, because he's got a few other cool ones on there. So we might have to talk about that match at a later date, review something like that. We'll talk about it, but cool to note it here on the timeline. But on TV, on national TV, SmackDown, June 28th, 2001. This is going to be Vince McMahon opening the show, and they're still in Madison Square Garden. So I guess they did, back-to-back or, whatever. I don't know how they did it, but sort of similar to how they do now a lot of times in the major shows, back-to-back here. And Vince is going to open the show to say that MSG, it stinks now. It stinks from the foul odor of WCW, because on Monday night, WCW stars like Mike Awesome, DDP, and Booker T invaded this hallowed ground, and now MSG might as well be the Nassau Coliseum, which gets a lot of boos from the crowd. And Vince challenges some more WCW stars that tells them they might as well show up tonight so that they can get their butts kicked. So really, this invasion storyline is kicking into full gear here as Linda McMahon shows up. And I'm going to try to blow through some of this stuff because there's a ton of it. But she's there to say, basically to dare Vince into allowing WCW matches to be a part of Raw and SmackDown. Vince says that's the most ridiculous idea he's ever heard. And he says, hell no, he will never allow something like that to happen. And here you can already see problems with all this because the crowd pops at that. Right. Crowd pops at the fact that he doesn't want WCW wrestlers coming in here. Although at this point,
in New York,
they are. But at this point, Linda's the babyface and Shane's the babyface, and WCW's kind of supposed to be the babyface here. Or I guess, I don't know. It's all very confusing. But anyway, Linda says, okay, if you don't want to do that, I've got a better idea. Give these fans what they really want to see. The ultimate competition between WCW and WWF. Let's turn the fully loaded pay-per-view into an invasion. And to this idea, Vince says you're on. And he's going to drive the WCW stars right out of business. So, the seeds are planted for the invasion pay-per-view right there. Stone Cold eventually is going to convince Vince to allow WCW matches to happen on WWF TV. He whispers something in his ear. I get they never quite reveal it, but I guess it's going to be...
Of course not.
Yeah, if they allow them into the building, they can beat them up. I guess that's
Right.
the implication here. But that's what's going to lead to the infamous main event that you're going to talk about on Raw, on the next episode of Raw. We get a recap of what happened on Monday with DDP putting his hands on Sara and pulling out the weave. And JR has a sit-down interview with Undertaker and Sara. And Taker here, he looks like he would rather be anywhere else in the world. Man, he is just peeved about being there. And he actually doesn't do any talking here. Sara does all the talking.
Suck.
She says she didn't ask for any of this, and Mark didn't ask for any of this. So we're back to that.
Yeah.
But Paige changed all that. Sara talks about she's not afraid to fight, and she might not be the biggest dog in the yard, but if you mess with her family, you will get the baddest, well, you know what.
Yeah.
And she actually does have a good closing line. I like this, because she says,
As far as Diamond Dallas Page is concerned, he should be careful what he wishes for, because everybody's more famous when they're dead.
so.
Yeah, that's a pretty good line. Yeah.
And Taker asks JR if they're done here, and JR's like, okay, and Taker storms off. So,
Perfect.
He doesn't want to talk about any of this. Later on, we get the infamous match between Kane and Albert, where Kane hits the Hurricane Rana.
Yes, sir, man.
But DDP actually runs interference here, hits a diamond cutter out of nowhere, since it's a no DQ match.
Nice.
And allows Albert to get the pin and win the Intercontinental title.
Thanks, DDP, for that.
Blame DDP for that one.
Hashtag blame DDP.
So Vince and Austin and Angle are sitting around in the locker room talking about everything that's happened that night. And Kurt Angle reminds them of the old classic expression, you know, where there's DDP, there's bound to be Booker T. And Vince says, that's an old expression? And Kurt just pauses and is like, no, I just made it up. He's all ashamed. The way he sells it is so good.
I know. He's so amazing.
That's what they always say.
It's hard to believe he never had any like stage acting or like
I know. He's a natural at that too, not just at wrestling, but at that.
I know.
Two of our late era WCW favorites, Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire, make their debuts here.
Golly,
interfering
love
in
it.
the Dudleys and Hardys tables match, but they, much like DDP, are going to get annihilated. The WWF Job Squad shows up and sends them fleeing into the crowd. And then another cavalry arrives, or cavalry, excuse me.
Well, yes, you're excused.
They come in from into the crowd and beat them up, and the crowd eats it up, man. They love seeing these WCW guys get destroyed here, which bodes ominously for, again, the main event coming up on Raw.
Right.
We get another WCW debut as Vince McMahon finds out someone from WCW is here to see him, and Stone Cold and Kurt provide him backup, but it's really not necessary since it's actually just Tori Wilson showing up, making her debut, and my goodness, man.
Just Tori Wilson?
Yeah, not just Tori Wilson. Man. I mean, you know, Tori Wilson. And again, the interactions with Kurt and Austin and Vince are incredible, and they're like trying to hug Vince and make sure they keep his attention, even though she wants some private time with Vince.
Oh, they're so good.
And then I'm talking about all this because this is, you know, getting into the stuff Undertaker is going to be involved in this Invasion main event. But Stone Cold is going to give Booker T to the count of 10 to arrive to the building to end the night. And Booker T doesn't show up. So instead, Taz jumps in the ring. Because something we didn't mention a couple weeks ago is Stone Cold beat up Michael Cole to get some more heat. And
he guess he got a face pop.
He should have. Stone Cold says, well, unless Booker T got real short and real fat real fast, you ain't Booker T. And Taz bows up to Stone Cold. He's ready to fight him. And then Austin, of course, lays a beating on Taz. Stone Cold taunts Michael Cole some more, but Booker T runs into the arena and nails Stone Cold with the big gold belt yet again. But the Job Squad quickly runs Booker T out of the building, even though they aren't able to get his hands on him. And Booker and Shane ride off in Shane's limo quickly out of the arena as the battle lines continue to be drawn between WWF and WCW.
Ooh, man, it's getting hot. getting. I don't know, man. The stews are brewing, man. The stews are brewing. So that'll take us to Raw 423, man. This is on July 2nd, 2001. So a lot has been said about this episode of Raw, as this is the quote-unquote debut of this new WCW in the main event. Again, Linda McMahon is, talked to Vince, I guess Austin has talked to Vince into letting this happen. So, they're in Tacoma, Washington. If you're going to reboot WCW, you don't do it in Tacoma, Washington. Because do you know what town they were in literally 1 week later? Atlanta, Georgia.
That's right.
The literal home of WCW. The literal backyard of WCW. They couldn't have waited 1 week to try this if they really wanted it to work. And I know Bruce Pritchard has defended it, and he's full of crap. I don't care.
It's almost as if they didn't want WCW to succeed.
How about that? Kind of like when you bring back ECW on Sci-Fi and you have a zombie on it. So,
yeah.
Anyway, it's just like, this is the debut of that night, and it's just, I don't know. It's crazy. And to me, it just seemed doomed from the beginning because, again, Taker's dismantled DDP already. They didn't bring any huge household names over because those guys just sat at home and collected a paycheck. I don't blame them. I'm not blaming Nash, Hall, Sting, Goldberg, Flair, any of those guys. But
it's so silly. You've got, this is supposed to be an invasion.
Exactly.
And we're letting them come on TV.
Exactly.
We're making it about the McMahon family struggle, for one thing.
Of course.
That all this happens because of Vince and Linda, not because of the WCW guys forcing their way onto TV. And the WCW guys are wrestling each other.
Yes.
What do you remember? Do you remember when Hall and Nash fought each other in the main event of Nitro? When the NWO debuted? No, because that was stupid. Because they were on the same team. Why are they fighting each other? We don't want to see that. We want to see WCW versus WWF, and we did want to see it. Everyone wanted to see those two companies fight each other. Bruce Pritchard acts like, oh, nobody cared about WCW. Nobody was watching them towards the end. Whatever, man. Everyone wanted to see that. And maybe they didn't want to see these particular guys, some of them. And that's going to be another problem we can talk about later on. But don't act like people didn't want to see WCW versus WWF, because they did.
Right.
But they didn't want to see
exactly.
a WCW main event on Raw, because that's idiotic.
I could not have said it better myself. So that was perfect, man. That sums it up right there, man. We didn't want to see two different brands. We wanted to see them versus each other. It's what I've been waiting and dying to see since since we were kids. We heard about all this stuff. So anyway, well, I'm kind of glad they didn't do this in Atlanta in hindsight, because we'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly here. But anyway, again, Vince is out talking about the Invasion pay-per-view, and Shane comes out and invites Vince to put his best guys on one side of the ring, and I'll put my best guys, and we'll go at it at the first ever Inaugural Brawl. And I have an issue with this anyway. It's called the first ever Inaugural Brawl. So inaugural means the first time they're going to fight, and then literally we're going to see them have matches the next 2 weeks before we get to the pay-per-view.
Yep.
So, Inaugural Brawl, my behind. So, that's how I feel. It's just all snake bit from the get-go, man. So, but then Taker's going to ride out with Sara riding behind him, and he's got an Intercontinental title match against Albert, based on what happened on SmackDown last week. So, Taker gives Albert kind of a lot of off. He kind of
was getting a push here, man. No doubt about it. Yeah. Old Baldo's getting a push here, and he's getting a lot of offense on Taker here. But then DDP runs out and hits Taker with a chair, which causes DQ, and then he hits Diamond Cutter on Taker, which I'll say that was pretty cool to see. Yeah.
Him get his move, because that was a very protective move in WCW. And he then kind of gives Sara the stink eye and walks away, and then she charges him from behind and pushes him. And then she goes to swing at him, and Kane walks behind DDP and starts beating him up. And then Sara gets a huge kick in the Death Valley spot on DDP. Sorry, I thought she just kicked me a second ago. But anyway, he then gets tossed in the ring, and Taker punches him until Albert comes in and is his knight in shining armor, and then Kane comes in, and they both beat him up as DDP kind of saunters away like a thief in the night, just kind of escapes. So there's just the continual burial of DDP.
So why is Albert saving DDP?
Well, I guess because he gave him his Intercontinental title last week.
Yeah, but he's a WCW guy.
I know.
No, makes sense, man.
No, I get it. It doesn't. I don't get it, but I get it. So.
And here's the problem summed up here on SmackDown on July 5th, 2001, man. All summed up in the first 5 minutes of this show. Because the ending of the Raw you just talked about is not the WCW stuff, but it's actually Vince getting caught with his pants down, trying to
literally
get busy with Tori Wilson. Yes, literally. And that's how the episode of SmackDown opens, is we get a 5-minute video recap of all of Vince's failed flirtations with Tori Wilson from Monday night. And it's got comedic music playing in the background, and that's the main storyline that we're supposed to be talking about. Not the invasion of the company by their greatest rival, not the historic first matchup of WCW wrestlers on WWF TV from Monday night, Vince being caught with his pants down, and Kurt Angle and Steve Austin, the comedians. That's the main stuff happening, not the invasion. Like, they already have hit the panic button after one match on TV. And
thanks, Buff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what I failed to mention at the end of that episode of Raw, where Nitro takes or WCW takes over, is it's Buff and DDP or Buff and Booker T, and Buff stinks out the joint, and then at the very end, I think it's Kurt Angle and Austin throw them both out of the arena and kind of just put the kibosh on the invasion right there. I wouldn't be surprised if they just cut it right then.
Yeah, so, well, it seemed like they were about to, because now it's all about Vince and Linda. That's the main storyline, not WCW versus WWF. It's about Vince versus Linda. So we see Stone Cold and Deborah trying to console Vince McMahon in his best Hawaiian shirt casual wear. Man, it's so funny to see him in these casual outfits, dude. But they're not talking about the WCW invaders. They're talking about Tori Wilson and his wife. So this is where, of course, Stone Cold has a present to cheer up Vince McMahon and gives him a genuine cowboy hat.
Oh.
And then Kurt Angle busts in and Stone Cold gives him his own little tiny hat. And
little tiny hat.
It's a hilarious moment out of context, but
so good.
With everything going on with WCW, like, I can't believe this is what Vince and Austin are doing. Like,
I know, you're right.
You're supposed to be the most serious threat to his company happening, and this is what he's focused on. Finally, 30 minutes into the show, the announcers actually talk about the events from Monday night, and they haven't referenced it at all up until then.
Perfect.
But so that happens. Booker T arrives to the arena because he's going to be facing off with DDP in the main event of this episode of SmackDown for the WCW title. And then Vince gets served with a summons to be in court on July 23rd for what's supposed to be a settlement with Linda. And that's going to get dropped here in a few weeks, but apparently that was supposed to be the setup for Vince and Linda splitting the company in half and WCW getting one of the two shows, Raw or SmackDown. Right. Plans are going to change with that, but that was supposed to be teasing that. We get the first WCW match ever on SmackDown, which is a Cruiserweight Championship match with Billy Kidman and Gregory Helms.
Yes, it was. I'll never forget that match, too.
I won't either, and the crowd probably did, because they sent these guys out there to die, though. Again, I will say, to Bruce Pritchard's point, as far as WWF audience goes, a lot of people didn't know who these guys were. They didn't know who Billy Kidman and Gregory Helms were. And these guys don't get any promo time, no introduction to them. We don't find out anything about their characters. They're just two jamokes that get sent out there to have a cruiserweight match. And they kind of get over towards the end of it, but it's tough, man. Like, they don't get any of these WCW guys outside the top guys' characters. And on commentary, the announcers, Scott Hudson and Arn Anderson, spend the whole time talking about how wonderful Linda McMahon is and praising her for allowing them to compete. And It's supposed to be an invasion. And what does that have to do with an invasion? Why are you being allowed to compete?
Exactly.
Oh, you just had two of your guys. After the match is over, Kidman wins the title, and the announcers say, "Oh, the invasion is on. WCW is on a heck of a roll here." And I'm just shaking my head saying, you guys just had two of your own guys wrestle against each other, and then on Monday night, you had your two main eventers destroyed, kicked out of the building. How is WCW on a roll here?
Right.
They have done nothing.
Oh, man. It doesn't make any sense. It's going to turn a corner here in a minute when we get to Raw, but
briefly,
you're right. This stuff... Yeah. But there's some silver lining there. But yeah, you're right. This stuff is just like, holy crap. What was happening here?
Well, it gets even worse here. Vince comes out to cut a promo in the middle of the show as if we haven't had enough of him. He's trying to explain what happened on Monday. He says, I may have had lust in my heart, and I may have been tempted by Tori Wilson's moist lips, but
Whoops.
I never would have gone that far with her. I was merely testing her loyalty to the WWF. And Vince gets down on his knees. He apologizes to Linda. He's wailing. He apologizes for even being born. He doesn't want Linda to take half his company away from him. And Regal and Tajiri come out. They tell Vince to get a hold of himself. It's not all his fault. Trying to pump him back up. And that gets Kurt and Steve all upset and jealous in the back. They're supposed to be Vince's best friends. And then Vince stands up and he goes back to Vince mode, man. He starts gloating, bragging about how incredible and how well endowed he is, and just heals on the entire crowd here. And I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what any of this has to do with the invasion. I don't know who I'm supposed to be cheering, because Vince is obviously a heel, but the WWF is supposed to be a babyface, but the WWF champion's a heel, and Booker T's a babyface, but WCW's a heel, but Shane McMahon's a babyface, and Linda McMahon's a babyface, but DDP's a heel. None of this makes any sense. I don't know if I'm going to make it, man. I don't know if I can make it in this episode, man. I'm losing it here.
I can't pull any of this stuff out of my butt and make it make sense either, man.
That's all they were doing.
Confusing. It's so confusing. They should have been all baby faces or on WCW side, or all heels, just not facing each other. We don't need to see them facing each other on TV. Face the WWF. Invade them. Ruin every match they have. Ruin every main event. And just sabotage the whole show. Do what the Nexus did a few years later.
Do what the NWO did, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let some... Because I hated the NWO when they first came, but a lot of people loved them. They were the cool heels. And, I was WCW all the way, and it took me like a year to get on board with the NWO, thinking they were cool. Like, you could have done that. Just follow that template with the WCW invasion. Let them just be themselves. And some people will cheer them, but most people, will be WWF for life. But
yeah.
Let's talk about Undertaker again here, as DDP is going to face Booker T in the main event. DDP cuts a promo beforehand. He asks the referee backstage if he's seen Undertaker here tonight, because he knows the diamond cutter is sharper than ever, and he'd love to cut Undertaker's head off with it. And
yikes!
DDP and Booker T, they have a much better match than Booker T and Buff had. But again, what's the end goal of this supposed to be? You got your top two WCW guys fighting against each other, man. Silliness. And DDP's about to hit Booker T with a chair, but Undertaker comes barreling out, allowing Booker T to get a roll-up for the win. And Taker chases DDP to the back. That leaves Booker T vulnerable to get attacked by Kurt Angle. But Booker T gets the upper hand, man. He nails a scissor kick and knocks Angle out with the big gold belt. DDP lures Undertaker into the parking lot, where he gets surrounded by the WCW invaders. And DDP gets in a few shots here. The WCW guys beat down Undertaker, and DDP gets in the final shots. But here's where it gets really weird. Shane pulls DDP off of Undertaker, screaming, "That's enough, that's enough." And then DDP starts beating up Shane. And then Booker T makes the save for Shane. And then Mike Awesome tells Booker T, this doesn't concern you, and gives Booker T a shove. And then all the WCW guys start beating up Booker T. And all of a sudden, a week into this invasion, the WCW guys have already turned on each other.
Right.
And we're going to see that this is all, spoiler, this is all kind of a ruse here. But it's still, it's part of a plan, but it's a silly plan. I don't know why this was the best plan to do things, but it made absolutely no sense when you're just watching it, just this on SmackDown. Because the WCW guys stand tall over The Undertaker and the WCW champion and owner.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that this was going to be a ruse, honestly, at this point. I fully believe after this first week of the WCW having their matches, that's when they decided to just say,
they retconned it.
Forget it, let's change it, and then we'll see what happens on the Raw that I'm about to talk about, because I really do think that this was supposed to lead somewhere else, and they just, I don't know, changed it all because it sucked. It didn't
you may be right. Yeah.
But even so, it's still stupid. I mean, I don't know. Even so, I mean, they pulled themselves out of it by showing that it's all a ruse eventually, but still, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, no. But, we've seen a lot of these crazy WCW debuts here on this show, but for us, dude, this next episode of Raw has perhaps the most important WWF television debut that we've ever covered on this show, man.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yours.
Yeah, I know. Big star. Big star. Make my national television debut on this next episode of Raw. This is Raw 424 on July 9th, 2001. And I need you to help me figure out, why were you and I not there together?
I
went with a buddy of mine. I went with a buddy of mine named Chuck from church. And the only thing I can think of is, we didn't get to go to the Nitro and Goldberg beat Hogan together. You didn't get to come to Nitro with me in 2000 because of grades or whatever that hogwash was your dad made up.
Right.
But then this one, the only thing I can think of is that your parents didn't want you riding with a guy that they wouldn't have known, Because Chuck was a couple years older than me, and he drove me there. So that's the only thing I can think of.
Or I was out of town, or on vacation or something. Yeah,
because you guys would vacation.
That was probably it.
So,
yeah, we would go out of town during the summers. So I don't know, man. I it's a bummer for me, man, because you got a pretty good streak of going to some pretty historic shows.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
you've had some good luck.
I have had some good, but unfortunately, they haven't ever been with you. I mean, we've had some great ones together. But I'm saying the ones I've had without you have been phenomenal ones too. But I wish we could do them together. But anyway, so yeah, man, this Raw is right here in Phillips, right where you are right now in Atlanta, Georgia, in Phillips Arena. And again, it doesn't make sense why we weren't there together. But anyway, so the show's going to open up. We find out that Taker's supposed to have a handicap match against Mike Awesome and Lance Storm later, because they left him laying earlier on SmackDown. So anyway, Shane comes out with a kendo stick for his street fight against DDP. And instead, Taker's music is going to hit instead of DDP's. And Taker and Sara come out to the ring, and Taker's like, "Paige is mine." And then DDP comes out with a chair to his music, and he keeps swinging it at Taker. And eventually they make it to the ring. And again, it's not really a match. It's just like King of the Ring, where they're just kind of fighting. And Taker's overpowering DDP, and he goes for a chokeslam. And then suddenly, Shane attacks Taker from behind with a kendo stick, even though he saved him on SmackDown.
Yep.
And this is why I think they just turned the other way after SmackDown. I just really think this. So Shane hits Taker from behind with the kendo stick. He nails him over and over and over again until Taker finally fires back, and then he choke throws Shane all the way across the ring. And I remember being there in the audience and just being blown away by how far he threw Shane across the ring.
Yeah.
So DDP comes in with some chair shots, and we see that it was all a setup on SmackDown. Again, bullcrap. I don't believe that for a second. Storyline wise it is, but I don't believe in real life that was what they were doing. But anyway, Sarah gets in the ring and she nails Shane with a kendo stick, and she is not protecting him at all with a shot. She is wailing away on him. But then DDP gives her a diamond cutter, and Taker pushes him away and covers her up, kind of. And so now we've officially made WCW the heels in this invasion, I'll say, because Shane's attacked Taker. They're all on the same side against Taker here. So I say they're officially the heels.
Well, unless you're like us and can't stand Sara, and then
exactly
you're cheering.
And also, you're in Atlanta.
And man, she was kind of asking for it, man. She was assaulting Shane pretty bad, dude.
I know.
He just had to save her. So, I don't know. It's not like he just beat her up out of nowhere. She was being pretty violent.
Right.
So,
oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, I would never advocate violence against a woman. Let me make that clear. But I'm just saying, storyline-wise,
wrestling,
you could kind of make a case. And
yeah,
Paul Heyman does on commentary. Man, he's like, she was in there. She was mixing it up. You shouldn't bring a woman into the ring.
he's great, man. And she actually takes a really good diamond cutter bump. So
she did.
She's good at it. So then we see Sarah getting stretchered on while Taker's really emotional. He's angry, and DDP actually steals Taker's motorcycle backstage and rides off, like barely. He can barely get it started, but he rides off. And then Sarah's loaded into the ambulance, and Taker hops in, and he's like, he vows to get revenge on DDP, and they actually say hospital instead of medical facility. So. Which I thought was neat. I just made note of that because we've been talking about it here on Talking Taker. So, anyway, we get some epic backstage stuff here with Angle, Austin, and Vince. This is where Angle gives the badges to the sheriff badges, and this is where Austin gets the badges. We don't need no stinking badges. And dude, we blew up in the audience when he said that. Man, good stuff. So next up is where I make my WWF television debut. Here, because my boy Rhino, his music hits, he comes out, and the Kevin Dunn decides to zoom in on a 15-year-old Travis White with his sign that said Rhino, and I am looking up like an idiot, like just looking around. I didn't know I was on screen at the time, and my buddy Chuck was next to me, and we didn't know until we kind of caught it for just a second on the Tron, and then I really found out when I got home, and found the news out when I watched it back. So pretty cool, man. I'm pretty proud of that moment. So
your 3 seconds of WWE glory right there, man.
Exactly.
Crystal clear picture. We'll put the screenshot up on all the social media so everybody can see that historic moment of Travis on WWF television right there, man. Picture perfect Rhino logo on the sign. What made you pick Rhino for the sign you wanted to bring?
Dude, who else is going to put a sign for me? I love that guy. I love that guy.
You could have done Mike Awesome.
I know, man. I could have. I don't know, man. I was just a big Rhino mark at the time. I just love that guy, and I don't know. I think because I don't know. Maybe I chose that because I didn't think there'd be a lot of other ones there. I thought maybe it'd give me a chance to be on there. The other side of that sign said Travis and Chuck on it and had an arrow pointing down.
Nice.
So
I didn't know that.
That one makes a brief glimpse on the screen later on, but you can't see it like a full shot of it. I just happen to know where it is. You can't really tell what it says, but anyway, yeah, man, this is my debut, and we'll put that screenshot on our social media so you guys can check it out. So I just remember popping huge when I got home and seeing it. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, anyway, Regal updates Kane that Sara has just has some neck trauma, and at the hospital. And Kane's like, he offers to take Undertaker's spot in that match against Mike Awesome and Lance Storm tonight. So get another epic backstage skit where Angle and Austin and Vince are comparing themselves to Gilligan's Island, and they asked. Kurt or Austin asked Vince, "You ever seen Gilligan's Island?" He goes, "Oh, it's before my time." Like, no, that's after your time is what you're supposed to say, not before your time. So anyway, but it's just, man, it's classic stuff. These guys are so great, man. And just you can tell they're just making crap up too, man. I don't know. It's hilarious.
In the best way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in the best way. Absolutely. Well, during this, Austin says he's going to be. Vince announces that Angle and Austin are going to be on his team for the inaugural Brawl, and then he also adds Taker as well. He says, Taker's going to be on that as well. And then Y2J comes in, Jericho comes in, and he offers his help on the team. later on the night, Angle's going to lose a WCW title match to Booker T. So that, my friends, is the inaugural Brawl. Right there.
Yep, the first ever match. Yep.
The first ever match on television between a WWF wrestler and a WCW wrestler was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep.
Weird. So Kane's then going to step in for the handicap match against Storm and Awesome, and then Y2J is going to come out to be his tag team partner and kind of prove his worth to Vince that he should be on Team WWF. So the end of the match is where things really start to get nuts. So those of you who don't remember this, buckle up. I remember, obviously, I was there. Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam slide in the ring and just ruin the match. They start attacking Kane and Chris Jericho, and it's just, I just remember marking out, like, I don't know, man. It was just crazy because at first we couldn't tell who it was at first, and we don't have commentary, because we're live in the audience, so they kind of got a close-up of him on the Tron, and we finally figured out who it was. I just remember going absolutely insane. But anyway, then you got Rhino comes out. The Dudleys come out. Justice Incredible comes out. Raven comes out. Taz comes out to make the save. Well, you think. Then they all turn around, and all 10 of them, those guys, begin attacking Kane and Jericho. And I can't begin to explain how surreal this was happening in front of my face live as a 15-year-old mark for all of these guys. Again, you and I have talked about we were really big on those mid-card, undercard guys that can actually go. We love good wrestling, and guys like Rhino and Raven and Taz even. I just love that. And ECW was just, I loved ECW.
Man, and it was so unexpected.
Exactly.
This is the peak of the invasion. Is this segment
this night
right here? Not, I won't even say this night. I will say this segment because to me it goes downhill towards the end. But yeah, this moment where ECW comes into play here, and it's so out of nowhere. The reveal of the WWF guys are out there to make the save, but wait a minute, all of those guys also used to be in ECW.
Exactly.
It's just so perfectly done. It came so out of nowhere. And Paul Heyman gets in there and puts him over too, and it almost single-handedly saves everything, if not for everything else that's going to happen.
Oh, well, yeah. He again, to speed things up here, Heyman kind of gets something from the audience, and he's says that this invasion got taken to the extreme, and he offers, he extends the challenge to Vince and Shane to find 10 guys, and they'll match up tonight against find 5 guys apiece, and those 10 guys will match up against his 10 guys for one match only. And again, the crowd pops huge because we were super stoked for this. We're gonna get ECW versus WCW WF all in the same ring in the same night in freaking Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, and it's
kidding me.
That it's all so much has happened on this one episode of Raw, unannounced and out of nowhere and unadvertised. Yeah. They're just blowing through the storyline because they've hit the panic button, all because of that Booker T Buff Bagwell match. They've already hit the panic button and are trying to totally do something different here.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, and it's weird too because if you were watching, if this was a 2-hour Raw, this is probably an hour and 25 minutes into the show where this stuff happens. Yeah. It's weird. It's not like it's all loaded toward the backside of the show, which is weird. So anyway, we get to find out that it's going to be the 20-man tag, and I don't know about you, man, but when I think of, I want WWF's 5 best guys and WCW's 5 best. The first 10 that come to my mind are Farouk, Bradshaw, Billy Gunn, Hardcore Holly, and Big Show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what about you, dude?
Well, the 5 WCW guys are right there, dude. Sean Stasiak, Mark Jindrak, Palumbo, O'Hare, and Canyon.
Absolutely.
10 of the best right there.
I mean, seriously.
Who better than Canyon?
Who better than Nobody. So, anyway, man, it's so then that's the 10 in the ring, and
guess
these
what?
10.
No one on WWF TV knows who Sean Stasiak, Mark Jindrak, Chuck Palumbo, Sean O'Hare, Canyon are, because they haven't had any promo time. They haven't been introduced at all. This wasn't like the NWO, man, because the NWO guys slowly trickled in, and they gave each guy a time to kind of establish themselves. And nope, all of a sudden we've got 20 WCW guys popping in, and some of them have not even had any matches, no TV time at all. And it's just silly.
Yeah, and like personally, am I excited to see Mark Jindrak, Chuck Plumbo, Sean O'Haire, and Canyon on wrestle in WWF? Absolutely. But being a fan of wrestling and storytelling, the execution is trash.
Yep.
But again, I'm there this night. I'm eating all this out of my. I mean, they're feeding me out of their hand. I'm just eating it all up, man. It's just as a 15-year-old. But anyway, of course they can't get along, and then ECW music comes on, and these 10 guys come down directly next to me and Chuck. I mean, it's me, Chuck, one other guy, and then the freaking ECW guys are next to us coming down the stairs. That's where I'm on screen again for a brief second, but my other sign. But anyway, it's just so cool. And again, I was trying so hard to get Rhino to see my sign, dude. I'm like shoving it in his face, and he doesn't acknowledge me. But anyway, but to me, these 10 guys are definitely ECW to the core. Like, you know, and some of them have been established on WWF television, so it's fine. We understand them. Yeah. It's weird how ECW has a better presence to the fans than the WCW guys do. So
they did, for sure.
It's weird. But again, they get in there and they beat up the WWF guys and then slide in and they start to high five the WCW guys. And again, it blew my teenage mind. I had no idea what was happening. Shane and Heyman hug. Vince comes out to get the story. Like, what the heck's going on? Taz mission to Hardcore Holly. F5 on Bradshaw by Sean O'Haire. So up yours, Brock Lesnar. Sean O'Haire's doing the F5 here. I don't really mean that, Mr. Lesnar. I don't really mean that. But 1,000 apologies. 3D to Farouk. Van Daminator to Billy Gunn. Thank God. That guy sucks at this point in his life. But I hated him. But anyway, Shane then explains that he's responsible for the merger of WCW and ECW. They're going to beat the WWF at Invasion, then introduces the new owner of ECW. Who do you think it is? It's a returning Stephanie McMahon in her little pink dress. Also blew my teenage mind. Again, put myself while I was there. I was freaking on cloud nine, man. This was all blowing my mind. I'm looking back at it. It's like, what is happening? But being there was incredible.
Sure, yeah. And for a moment it is. But once again, it's all about the McMahons. That's what this...
Always.
The ECW, WCW, WWF storyline comes down to being all about the McMahons and maybe a little bit of Paul Heyman. But you're also blowing through easily 3 to 6 months worth of television right here in 2 hours. Man, or at least you could have stretched this to the pay-per-view, having 3 companies. You could have had... you could have somehow done the whole pay-per-view of ECW versus WCW versus WWF and maybe ended the show with ECW and WCW coming together, man. But they they hit the panic button, man. Vince had no faith in WCW. Probably Paul Heyman got in his ear, and Vince also always had a soft spot for ECW, and they're like, well, this is the way to save it. We can pull ECW up and add this to it and make it cool again. And that's what they do here. Yeah. And it works. It's a little shot into the arm, but it's too much. And I wanted to ask you this, dude. Since Undertaker was pulled from his match earlier, and he was supposed to be the one facing Mike Awesome and Lance Storm, but it ends up being Kane, and that's all because of the attack on Sara, that he gets replaced with Kane. That the ECW guys, they decide they're going to invade on Kane and not on the Undertaker here. So does that mean that the entire Invasion storyline is the ultimate hashtag blame Sara moment?
2 words. Without question. It's absolutely Sarah's fault.
It is, man. It's all her fault. We've talked about everything being Undertaker's fault. This is all Sarah's fault.
All the bad stuff's her fault.
Everything from here on out is all Sarah's fault. The next 6 months of television.
Oh, man.
So coming up next is SmackDown July 12th, 2001, as we're just creeping into the Invasion here. We get a recap of the headache-inducing whirlwind events of Monday Night Raw, and certainly, undoubtedly, one of the most newsworthy editions of Raw ever in history. Undertaker opens the show from earlier today in Vince's office, and Vince is saying, "A deal is a deal, Taker. So I'm giving you DDP tonight, but it's going to be a tag team match. Undertaker and Angle against Shane and DDP. But in return, you have to be on Team WWF at Invasion." So I thought he said that on Monday, but
he did. He told us on Monday. But well, they don't even know what they're writing.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Taker begrudgingly says a deal is a deal, and Vince asks him, well, how's Sara doing? And Undertaker says, well, I'd prefer the name Sara never come out of your mouth again. And I was thinking I would prefer it never to be spoken on this show again. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
She who shall not be named. It's like the Voldemort.
And the WCW crew of jabronis open up the show, and like I said, dude, this is clearly another huge problem with this, is that there's way too many people in the ring. There's 20 WCW guys, and none of them, except Booker T and DDP, have had any sort of character development, man. How are we supposed to care about these guys, or even get behind them as heels, because we don't care about them? They're just random, generic guys. Anyway, Shane and Stephanie glowed about everything here, and Heyman actually, he's doing his best, man. He's doing everything he can to put this stuff over, because he gets on a rant, starts talking about all the things that Vince stole from ECW, including their own network.
True.
A little
Very
bit
true.
of a shoot ski right there.
Yeah.
He says Vince stole everything from him, so now he's going to steal everything from Vince, including his children. So great. Leave it to Paul Heyman to come up with a logical explanation for all of this stuff. Heyman continues to talk about the audacity of Vince putting him out of business and then putting him on the commentary desk and asking him to do that. But Paul says he did it loyally, all the while becoming a stooge for Shane, feeding him information from the inside. But that wasn't enough. He wanted to take away Daddy's little girl too, so he ended up giving her the power to own her own company. Just great work by Heyman here.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Stephanie talks about how her and Shane are better than Vince and how it's just simple evolution. A nod to her future husband right there. And
the pay-per-view she apparently created.
That's
Gets
right.
All the praise
good
for
point.
It.
Good point.
Golly.
And there's all this talent in the ring for 20 minutes, dude, and the only people who get to talk are Paul Heyman, Shane McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon. That's who Invasion is about. It's about these people.
Not the wrestlers. They're just pawns in the scheme.
Could have been anybody out there.
Yep.
This is the episode of SmackDown where Stone Cold tries to cheer Vince up with something that's going to solve all his problems, a guitar. And they sing Kumbaya and Jimmy Crack Corn from Kurt Angle.
Jimmy
that
Crack
classic
Corn,
stuff.
I don't care. I love seeing Austin tune a guitar. It's like trying to tune the machine heads. It's great. So.
Vince is going to have a team meeting with Team WWF. Kurt Angle, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Kane, and Y2J. And Kurt's got the guitar in his hand as the meeting starts, and Austin just smacks it out of his hands. And makes Jericho actually break character. He cracks a smile.
Oh yeah, he does. I remember that very vividly.
Vince is talking about how this is the most serious threat the WWF has ever known. Again, he's just vacillating between not caring at all about WCW and then talking about how important it is. And Austin is just repeating every word after Vince says it. And Taker is losing it on the side. Taker asks, "Why don't you just let me and Kane handle this?" Just two on 20. I love it. And Vince says, "Well, the risks are just too great." And Undertaker says, "Well, what are you going to do with these two?" And Austin is just going crazy over there. It's pretty funny, pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it's great, man. All this stuff with Austin is so funny, man.
But then we're going to get more of Vince. Now Vince is going to come out to the ring to cut another promo on the Vince McMahon show.
So he's basically taking Triple H's spot. He's doing Vince promos and Triple H promos. Okay,
he's got to fill up all that time.
Yeah.
And this is the promo where Vince says he doesn't need the Stone Cold who gives him hugs, who gives him cowboy hats and cookies. He doesn't need the Stone Cold who plays guitar. He needs the old Stone Cold. And
Vince? You sound just like him.
I was trying, man.
Perfect.
The crowd and JR erupt at hearing that because they are sick of this heel Stone Cold. Everyone's sick of it already. It's already clear. It's funny, but he's miscast in this role. He can do it, and in a different universe, it would be perfect. But it's just not. The crowd, no one wanted this.
Nope.
No one really wanted it. And so Stone Cold is very confused by all this, and Vince is just begging him to become the beer-swilling, hell-raising guy he used to be. He begs Stone Cold to beat the crap out of him, and Stone Cold starts to crack a smile, but just shakes his head and walks away sadly, puts his head down. They could have played the Charlie Brown music over this as he walks up the aisle. It's a great performance from both guys here, actually. Story that as far as the story they're trying to tell, they both put their all into it. Stone Cold leaves the arena. Vince goes chasing after him, and the main event of the night, like we said, is Undertaker and Kurt versus Shane and DDP. DDP gets a case of the limber tail, as JR calls it, and hides from Taker on the outside, allowing Shane to get a beating. But they are able to cut the ring off, beat on Angle for a little while, and Angle makes a hot tag to the tag team specialist Undertaker, who goes wild on DDP. But then the ECW, WCW coalition, as they're called at this point, they run interference, but Undertaker and Kurt Angle beat them all up. 2 against 10. They destroy them all. Then some more of these guys come out. Hugh Morris gets left alone with Undertaker, with his probably the highlight of his career here for 5 seconds is getting beat up on Undertaker one-on-one. He eats a stiff clothesline from Undertaker. And then Taker can't help himself, man. He sees the coalition on the outside, about 15 of them, and he hits the ropes and hits a flying cow, diving out onto all these guys. And an awesome visual, as it always is.
Oh, yeah. It was incredible.
Jericho and Kane come out to help Team WWF, but the WCW, ECW guys are just too much for them. And I'm just wondering, where's the rest of the WWF? Where's the job squad that the APA's been leading this whole time? Why don't they run out for all this to help them?
Yeah, I know.
No sense here. Finally, DDP taunts Undertaker. They like the whole alliance coalition. They lift Undertaker up, and DDP's taunting him. But Taker fights out. He tries to choke slam him, but the WCW guys beat him down again. And DDP finally hits a diamond cutter on Undertaker after all this time and gets to stand victorious over him. Except that's not how the show ends. The show actually ends with Stephanie McMahon walking out and nodding in approval to put the focus back on her where it belongs.
Oh, golly, man. I think I saw this era through rose-colored glasses because I was there when the cool part of this was born. Going back and revisiting has really brought these bad memories back where it's all about the McMahons. So
that was my biggest takeaway from watching this stuff was just how much it was focused on them and not the wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I love
exactly.
I've had moments where I love Shane, Vince, and Stephanie. They've all done great stuff on TV, but this is not it. No.
Well, that brings us to Raw 425 on July 16th. This is the go home Raw before Invasion, and this is the one where Austin's at the Friendly Tap all night. That bar,
the Friendly Tap.
Yeah, man. Tim White's. I guess he works there, or he owns it, or something.
I think he owned it or owns it. I don't know if it still exists.
Yeah, that's where Vince wants the old Stone Cold to come back, and we see him throughout the night. We see Austin's antics and talking to Tim White and playing pool with Deborah, and Vince goes to talk to him and stuff. But anyway, we're told that the Brothers of Destruction are going to face DDP and Rhino tonight. So freaking tag team dream right there, baby. Yeah. Backstage, DDP is prepped for a night they'll never forget, he said.
I'll tell you what else. A little special treat here. I want you to do me a favor. Go get a few of the boys. I got the unedited version of Undertaker's old lady. We got a little special screening. I call it the King of Bada Bing's Best of Sara. Sweet.
So,
did you have that one back in the day at VHS?
No. I had Invasion on VHS, but did not have the King of Bada Bing's Best of Sara. So you probably could have found that on Amazon, or not Amazon. What was eBay? Big back then. So yeah, but he's like, hey, he tells Rhino to go fetch the other guys for a private viewing. And Rhino's like, yeah, like Rhino had no character at this point. Unfortunately, he was crazy, but I still loved the heck out of him. But anyway. Shane, Steph, and Heyman give the coalition, again, they're not called the Alliance at this point yet, but I'll probably call them that, but they give them a pep talk about Sunday, and the WWF will never take any of us back. There's no going back, what they say, which we all know that's not true, because once they lose in November, they're all back in the company.
Yep.
So. Anyway, but Heyman does his best job. He really sells that inaugural. Yeah, they are. He does the best. He sells that inaugural brawl where it's going to be the Dudleys and Rhino and DDP and Booker T taking on the WWF's best. So again, you can just tell from the get-go though. You got Kane, Undertaker, Chris Jericho, Stone Cold, and Kurt Angle, and they're taking on the Dudleys, Rhino, DDP, and Booker T. Like, it's just
a little uneven.
Yeah, a little uneven there. I mean, again, I'm a fan of the Dudleys, Rhino, DDP, and Booker T, but their star power is not. It's definitely one-sided. You know.
Yep.
The scales are one-sided there, and the APA has rallied the troops in the locker room on this night, and actually Vince and Taker walk in, and the APA come in, and the APA and Vince give a pep talk about this Sunday, and I think it's Vince says that no one in this room, no, it's JBL, excuse me, or Bradshaw. He says no one in this room has been threatened like we've been threatened now, and Vince is, saying he hopes we'd have Austin on our team, and finally Taker speaks up. He goes,
"The hell with all that! I've heard all that I'm going to hear. What it's time for is to find out who the phony tough is and who's the crazy brave. Austin. He's made a hell of a name for himself here in the WWF. And now he don't have the heart to go out and fight for the company that made him? No, he doesn't. I say to hell with him. The rest of you need to understand this. There's no shame in going out and fighting and getting your ass kicked. But there's no honor in not fighting at all. So who wants to fight? Who wants to fight?
All the jabronis, the job squad, everybody gets up and they're cheering. Everybody's, rah-rah, shish boom bah. They're all excited. Cloud nine. And then suddenly, Brooklyn Brawler rolls in. And, I wish that Limp Bizkit would have hit right here. It'd been awesome. Keep rolling. And we get classy Freddie Blassie rolled in his wheelchair. Oh, I'll never forget this.
Great
night, man.
segment, dude.
Great segment.
Great promo from Taker. This is perfect.
It's good stuff. It's really taking shape and really making it mean something. So
and you buy it from Taker because he's been there for 11 years, man.
Exactly. But I'm not sure exactly what the threat is again because they've pretty much squashed all the WCW guys, but anyway.
Yeah, and they're also allowed to compete on their show. It's not they're not invading. They're already there.
Yeah. Anyway, but Freddie Blassie gives a inspirational promo, and at the end he's like, stand up, and he stands up out of his chair, which is a very, supposed to be emotional thing and everything. And so we cut to Austin watching this at the Friendly Tap, and he sees that, and he breaks that pool stick and on the pool table, and then leaves the bar, and the crowd starts cheering because they know the old Stone Cold's come back. So main event is DDP and Rhino taking on their Brothers Destruction. Our boys walk out for a great ovation, and they basically, of course, dominate, DDP and Rhino until the Dudleys and Booker T run in. So, and as this is happening, it's just a big schmoz finish. The crowd's chanting, Austin, Austin. And then more WWF guys run in, followed by more, Alliance guys, and we get this humongous Pier 6 brawl in the ring. We get guys brawling.
You say humongous or Hugh Morris?
Oh, I said Lord Humongous. Yeah. No, there was no sit there. Yeah. We get this Hugh Morris and humongous fight in the ring. We see guys brawling backstage in the parking lot. It's just like, fighting everywhere. Austin pulls up in his truck, and he starts just beating the crap out of these Alliance guys and hitting them with the pool cue, beating them up in the backstage area, beating them up as he's walking through to the gorilla position, he is beating up all of the Alliance guys single-handedly. And then the glass breaks, and the roof blows off this arena, wherever the heck they were this night. I didn't pay attention. But everyone in that arena is on their feet because finally the old Stone Cold is back, the one before WrestleMania 17. Mm-hmm. He comes in, and he single-handedly stuns all the Alliance guys that are left in the ring, beats them all up. And then Taker and Kane are dishing out choke slams as well to everyone. Team WWF is standing tall. They're helping each other up from the corners. They're all standing there united, all five of them in the ring. and then Taker he helps Angle up and then goes and actually speaks to Austin. So they're all united here, heading into SmackDown before Invasion.
This is probably the highlight of the build-up at this episode of Raw. Man, this is what the Invasion should have been the entire time. And it's focused on the guys too, and it's you're seeing the intensity, you're seeing the passion of everything. This is it right here.
Yeah, there was no McMahon in that last segment.
Yep.
None.
Yep. Well, the Go Home show, July 19th, 2001 on SmackDown. Actually, SmackDown episode 100 right here. So pretty fitting for a historic show. And what better way to celebrate that than with a 6-man tag of Taz and the Dudley Boys against Undertaker, Kane, and Tajiri. My new favorite tag team.
They should have the 6-man belts. Kane, Taker, and Tajiri.
The WCW crew kicks off the show, followed by the ECW group. It's your basic go-home promo here as Shane and Stephanie talk, and Paul saves the day again as he builds this up. As he talks about how Shane and Stephanie are going to do what Vince did to his father and destroy him. He claims the days of sports entertainment are over and the alliance will bring about wrestling. And actually, the crowd boos this. You would think they would cheer to wrestling over sports entertainment, but no, this crowd wants sports entertainment. DDP is going to take on Chris Jericho, and I'm sure they fought in WCW, but man, I don't remember it ever. But
I can't
it's cool to see it on WWF TV.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Patrick is going to be the referee, and he's going to go into his classic heel ways and also his old feud with Jericho here. He refuses to count the pin for Jericho, then calls for a DQ on Jericho. Jericho puts Patrick in the walls of Jericho for old time's sake, puts DDP in him as well.
Does he have one arm tied behind his back like he did at World War III,
go quite that far.
or whatever? Yeah.
Jericho's going to nail DDP with a chair. Paul Heyman is going to try to recruit William Regal to become the ECW-CW commissioner, and Regal is angrily going to refuse and give one of his impassioned, awesome promos.
Yeah.
Regal and Tajiri are discussing what happened earlier, and it's these segments with Regal and Tajiri are great when Tajiri's just speaking gibberish. I'm sure he's not speaking real Japanese. I don't know.
Right.
But he's all like crazy hyper and psycho. Regal tells Tajiri how proud he is of him, and Tajiri has a fit of excitement when Undertaker and Kane walk in with Sara, and he finds out they're going to be his tag team partners tonight. Regal goes to give Sara a handshake, and Undertaker slaps it away and says, "Hands!"
Like he's your youth director or something on a trip. Hands, handshake.
Taker asks, "What in the hell is wrong with Tajiri?" And as he's like bouncing around on the table, and Regal tries to give Taker and Kane a pep talk for tonight. He tells them if they have any problems, they just need to rise up. And when he does that, Tajiri lays down on the table and sits up like Undertaker used to do. And Undertaker says, "You need to check his medication." And Kane calls Tajiri a freak. So.
Well, he's lucky that he didn't light this place on fire like he did last time they were in his office.
I wouldn't let them back in my office after that.
Not a chance.
So they have their 6-man tag, and Tajiri is hyped up. Dude, he is excited, and this crowd is excited too. Tajiri gets a huge hot tag to Undertaker, the greatest tag wrestler of our generation. And Tajiri goes for a moonsault, but gets locked in the Taz mission, and Undertaker saves him and gives Taz a choke slam for the win here. Ride some momentum here into the invasion. Vince tells Stone Cold in the back that the divorce proceedings are on hold, so that whole plan to split the shows up is out the window already. And Vince has a guitar to sing some celebratory tunes with Stone Cold, but Stone Cold grabs it to tune it and then just slams it over Vince's head. Old Stone Cold is back, baby.
Yep.
The main event for the show is Rhino and Booker T versus Stone Cold and Kurt Angle, and doesn't really ever get going. Austin quickly disposes of Rhino and Booker T with some stunners.
No way.
Yeah, what a surprise. But DDP interrupts on the Ovaltron to reveal, and I completely forgot about this, but he has kidnapped Deborah and locked her in the trunk of his limo. And
Oh, yeah.
Undertaker runs out. He tries to take out DDP, but he gets jumped by members of the ECW coalition. Another giant brawl breaks out between everybody backstage, and DDP drives away with Deborah in a limo. So Austin runs to the back and steals another limo, and we get a limo chase out of the arena. Meanwhile, in the ring, Kurt Angle's all by himself. He gets an ankle lock on Booker T, but the Dudleys run out. Rhino gores Angle, and Angle's left alone with 4/5 of the coalition team right here. And the Dudleys give Angle a 3D through the table as the ECW theme song plays as the show goes out, leading us into this pay-per-view with the ECW guys on top.
There you go. That's the way it should have been. They should have gone on top.
Absolutely.
So that needed to happen. But yeah, man. So you forgot about the whole Deborah abduction?
I don't remember that at all. No.
Oh yeah, I love the way they explain it here on Invasion. I can't wait to get to this in just a second. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 16 hours, and we're just now getting to the Invasion show. So thank you guys for sticking with us to this long. Hopefully you didn't fast forward. You just, you've listened to all of our shenanigans here. But we are finally here. It's Invasion, July 22nd, 2001. And I just want to bring up something that I just think is neat. This is from the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, which is the same exact arena where Shane, quote-unquote, bought WCW from Vince. And I just thought, how cool is that? Like, what a coincidence, man. Like, I don't know. This definitely wasn't planned. I don't think so. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just really, really neat how that worked out
to me. And in much the same way, we have on this show, we've talked about the WCW versus WWF rivalry at every July pay-per-view, and we didn't realize this when we started, but it works out that for the last time, we're going to talk about it here in July as they finally go face-to-face for the first time ever. Perfect timing for us, man. It all works out.
Yeah, what a coincidence. So
and
it's just crazy.
Because I can't take much more of this, man. We're finally here, dude. Watching this build-up was driving me crazy this week.
Man, I love the poster for this show. I love I don't know. I had this show on VHS, and I actually got it on DVD a few years later. A guy, actually about 6 years ago, a guy I used to go to church with in Nashville let me borrow it, and well, we moved away. I never get back to him. So, Mike, if you're listening, I don't even remember your last name, but just hit me up and I'll give it to you. So, I have both copies, so which is kind of neat. It's an original, from 2001, so pretty cool. So.
And as far as the show goes, it's a pretty decent show. I watched the whole thing back this week, and there's some good wrestling on it. It's not a bad show overall, but
no. Well, yeah, I wrote that in my notes here. I just wrote, say what you want about this storyline and all, but for some reason, man, this pay-per-view has a special place in my heart. Like, I don't know if it's just finally being able to see so many guys that I was a fan of in WCW finally get a shot on WWF television, like a Canyon or not a huge Hugh Morris fan, but, like just mid-card guys, and seeing Palumbo and O'Hare and Lance Storm and Mike Awesome and Rhino, and just seeing these guys being heavily featured. I think that's why this pay-per-view is special to me, and I also just like it for nostalgia purposes, and probably because I was there at that Atlanta Raw. But it's just, I don't know, it's a pretty decent show aside from the Nick Patrick and Earl Hebner match. Nick Patrick's the world's tallest referee, but anyway.
But even that, for what it is, I think is a nice little.
It's fun.
It is fun, and my problem with it, and this is my last problem I'll bring up, really is. I just kept coming up with different ones, though. There's no stakes to this pay-per-view, man. And nothing happens if WWF wins. Nothing happens if ECWCW wins. Nothing is going to change. The invasion has already taken place. WCW and ECW... they're already all able to have matches on WWF TV.
Exactly.
They're already all able to be there. There's nothing on the line tonight. The announcers keep talking about the score between the companies, but the score means nothing. Nothing's going to happen based on the events of the match. Like, this pay-per-view should have been about, well, if the coalition wins, they get their own show, or they get to be allowed to remain on WWF TV at last. Anything to make this more important, and there's none of that here. Which brings me to a question I can't believe I'm going to ask. But do you think maybe the invasion would have been better had your boy Vince Russo had some involvement in it? Because I was wondering what might have been. Because we talked about here, despite all his flaws, he knew how to give everything stakes. He knew how to give everyone on TV characters, even these big factions with lots of people. Everyone would have unique characters and storylines. And I couldn't help but think as I was watching this, man, he, with some help, could have actually had some positive involvement on this storyline. Some of his best traits could have really benefited this whole thing.
Oh, I totally agree, man. I totally agree that he would have made it have stakes or something. Like you said, just he would have made a reason for this stuff to take place. Now, granted, there might have been like a contract on a pole match or something, or San Francisco 49ers on a pole match, but we never know.
I mean, having the referees wrestle is the most Russo thing I can think of. Anyway.
That's very true. And that and the tag team bra and panties match.
Ooh, I have a comment about that later. But
oh, do you?
I do, yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, man, I think Russo, if he had his little mitts on it, would have been pretty decent. So, but anyway, it is what it is, man. Yeah, you're right. There's no stakes. But I guess that's kind of because the whole divorce thing debacle died. They decided to kill that. So whatever is what it is.
Well, here's some positive stuff, though, man. The opening video package is great. It's got clips of FDR talking about war mixed up with footage of this promotional war. The set is really cool because they've got separate rampways and entrances for both companies, which is a great little touch that I don't think was done enough during this angle, but at least they did it here. So I loved that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love the set. Again, we put over the sets back in 2000, 2001 endlessly, and this one was great. They should have had that on Raw and SmackDown.
They should have.
I think, you know what, though? TNA did that and I wasn't a huge fan of that product at the time, but TNA did it, and they made sense. They had a heel side and a face side. So, makes sense.
We get the rare team-up of JR and Michael Cole on commentary tonight. We don't see that combination too often. And I said I wasn't going to talk about any more problems, but that's a problem right there. Like, you got no voice for the opposition on commentary. I don't know why Heyman was not on commentary for this show. Man, it would have really
JR
enhanced
and Heyman.
Things. Because you got two guys cheering for the WWF on commentary.
Yep. It should have been JR and Heyman on commentary right there. I have no idea why it's not. But, well, in a continuation of Bring Your Wife to Work month, we get Sara and Deborah backstage getting coffee again. So Deborah says she can't wait for Steve to get his hands on DDP. And Sarah's like, DDP's a pervert and a psycho, and that after Mark gets done with them tonight, there'll be nothing left. So again, he's Mark again, just like when Russo and Vince McMahon told us it's all phony and he's just playing a character. But anyway, throughout the night we're going to see these various.
Did you say that Deborah talks about how after SmackDown, DDP just dropped her off in the middle of nowhere after kidnapping her? So.
Yeah, she's like, he picked me up and drove me around a circle and then dropped me back off in the parking lot. Like, okay. Yeah.
Maybe she did 1-800-CALL-ATT or something, or 10-10-321.
10-10-220, one of those. It's just, that was a, they should have done a show don't tell there. Like, I would have preferred them show us that from SmackDown or show us video footage of that. Like, don't tell us. That's something we should have seen. So, but anyway, yeah, it is what it is. But throughout the night, we're going to get these pep talks, from both sides. We get McMahon talking to his team members Vince talking to his team members, and Shane and Steph and Heyman talking to their team members and stuff. And DDP tells him that he's already in Austin's head and Taker's head. So that's a neat little touch. He's got not just Taker, but he's got Austin now.
Yeah, yeah. And Vince is going to be talking to the Undertaker family here on the flip side of that. And he tries to give them a pep talk. Vince reminds Kane that he was there in the ring when ECW and WCW joined forces. And he reminds Taker of all that DDP did to his wife. And Taker slams Vince into the wall. Man, he told him not to say his wife's name anymore.
Sure, this DDP has got to be in your crawl. With what he did to your wife. With all that voyeur stuff. With all that videotape, the best of Sara. With all that he's got. I guess tonight, we see the best of the Undertaker.
So I told you I was going to talk about the Tori and Stacy stuff and the bra and panties match on here. First ever bra and panties tag team match, historic matchup on this show. Just reminded me, we talked on this show a little bit about how we both grew up in pretty conservative households, and our parents were pretty restrictive of us, and especially they made me stop wrestling at certain points because of all the Attitude Era stuff in '99 and thought it was gross and disturbing and all that. And I went home for Christmas this year, and I was there in the living room, and my parents put on their favorite show that had a new episode on that night. And have you ever heard of the show Outlander, Travis?
Yes, I have. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay. It comes on Stars, I think, and it's basically pornography. It's a softcore porn show. No offense if you're a fan of it out there, that's fine, whatever. But there's just like multiple 5-minute graphic sex scenes in the middle of the show that I'm sitting there watching with them, like full on nudity, like long sex scenes in there. And it just made me think back to my days of my childhood, dude. Like, you weren't okay with me watching bra and panties matches, and here you are watching full-on, basically softcore porn in front of me. Cool, Mom and Dad. Real cool. Things have changed.
Times have changed. Oh, you get up there in age, you gotta see a little something else, I guess. You gotta live a little, so I don't know, man.
I know you said your dad got onto you for cussing on the WWF pay-per-views, so I don't know if he ever watches anything that has cussing in it, but
please, he watches every Netflix show there is. He'll binge watch every single thing there is, and like, Dad, he's the one who told me to watch Bird Box. I started watching it. I was like, "There's like 100 F words in this movie," but anyway,
it was a good movie though. I liked it.
Yeah, it was fine, but I don't know, it was what it was. But anyway, yeah, it's just weird how our parents have gotten older and less conservative.
A little more lax on that.
Yeah. But anyway, that is pretty funny. Well, something that I wouldn't have mind gotten restricted was, or you wouldn't have mind, is that Uncle Cracker's music is right here again, fully and intact. I don't know when they pick and choose why his music is there for X Factor and when it's not.
Yeah, because it's not just for pay-per-views either, because it's not on some of the other pay-per-views. I don't know what the deal is, but could have lived without that. On the flip side, RVD and Jeff Hardy had the match of the night on this show, man, and it makes them both stars, dude. And it really it set Rob Van Dam apart. It elevated him above all the rest of the Alliance guys here, man. Star-making performance from him.
I will never get the image of him taking that DDT out of my mind. Taking that
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's insane. I tried to take him like that whenever you and I would wrestle. I couldn't do it though. But it's just crazy, man. Crazy stuff.
Here's something interesting here. After tying up the WWF 3-3 in these matches on the show, we see Shane backstage giving a pep talk to Booker T and saying, with our win on Sunday Night Heat tonight, ECW and WCW, we're up 4-3. So, interesting note that pre-show matches counted in 2001, but apparently not in 2018 at the Survivor Series when Raw took on SmackDown.
And Xavier Woods and the New Day won, but that didn't count. So
nope,
didn't really happen. So, it's like a dark match, but all lights were on. So, and it was filming and it was broadcast on the network, but it didn't count.
It counted on Heat, though. Yep,
it counts. It was not on the. I can vouch. It is not on the tape, but it counts.
It counts.
So,
Paul Heyman has another great promo hyping up the Coalition, telling them you can either be failures or you can be gods here tonight. And Vince tries to pep up Stone Cold, but he doesn't want it. He's here to whip somebody's butt, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
That gets a good pop from the crowd when he says that.
Yeah, he hadn't said that in a long time.
Yeah, it's been several months. So eventually we get the sides are 5-5 going into the main event. So.
Main events for everything here. Yeah,
so it's for all the invisible stakes that don't actually exist, but still, it's 5-5. So we're getting the 11th match here, and we get a long video package, kind of recapping everything since March, basically. In that, again, like I mentioned, in that same arena. So, but again, most of the focus is going to be on whom? Steve Austin, and which again, just to me, looking back at it now, it's like watching a Shyamalan movie a second time. You know, it's like I should have seen it coming.
Yep.
When they put so much emphasis on him, it's like I should have seen this ending coming.
You're right.
From a mile away. But anyway,
finally we're here. Finally we're to the main event, the inaugural Brawl. Booker T, DDP, Rhino, and the Dudley Boys versus Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Undertaker, and Kane. And who gets their entrances first? Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Paul Heyman, and Vince McMahon, all getting separate entrances because this is all about them.
Yep, exactly. And we've got about 50 minutes left on the show. We got to take up some time.
Oh, yeah. Everybody gets an entrance. And it's weird when the guys come out because the teams alternate entrances. I've never seen anything like that.
You know, I like that, though. I remember liking it, being a fan of it at the time. I'm going back and watching it, too, here. I really liked that they did that. It was kind of neat to see them kind of stagger the entrances and stuff because it kind of built the crowd. The crowd would pop and then boo and then pop. And then it was fun. I liked it. So
you know what was great though?
Oh, what's that?
You don't have any of these guys wearing WWF T-shirts or ECW T-shirts or WCW T-shirts.
Yes.
You don't have everyone on the pay-per-view wearing a T-shirt of their brand, like Survivor Series, where everyone looks like a jabroni. No.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Stone Cold wrestled this whole match in a WWF T-shirt? Are you kidding me?
No. That'd have been awful.
It would have been terrible.
Trash. Oh man, yeah. Nobody has theirs half sewn on like Seth Rollins does, where it says like ECF and Mr. Monday Night T-shirt or something. Like nobody has that.
Thank goodness.
It's so stupid. Now I will say on that Raw that I was at, they did all the ECW guys came out in the ECF and W shirts, but that was they needed to. That made sense.
Different.
Yeah, but here you're right. They don't have that. So, well, the Dudleys come out first, and then Kane and Taker come out next. They have their special combined mashup entrance, and they will actually walk out. There's no motorcycle here. But I just want to mention that Taker's doing lots of limbering up and stretching as he's coming out, man. He is like doing those arm curls and those neck rolls, and he's getting ready, man, to beat on some WCW. So. And as he and Kane slide in the ring, and Dudley's bail, which is a cool little touch, you know. And Cole and JR put over just how loyal Taker has been to the WWF for more than anyone else and for more than a decade. So I like that.
Yep.
Neat touch.
Rhino's out next, followed by Jericho, and then oddly enough, Booker T, the WCW champion, comes out
and US
second to last. Yeah. He should be the captain.
Right.
But no, Kurt Angle's out next. And then DDP comes out last, but here's why they're doing it, is because he's going to come out and signature spot here, Undertaker's going to go meet DDP in the aisleway and strike the first blow of the inaugural Brawl. I loved it, man. We've seen it so many times.
I did, man. I was hoping for it again because I forgot how this match started, and I was glad I got it, man, because it was true to form for Undertaker that we've come to know here these last few months. So, yeah, they start brawling, and then they brawl for, 11 seconds, and then the glass breaks. Austin comes out to an enormous pop here in Ohio.
That's also true to form. Austin comes out a little bit late.
Yeah, he's always late to the tag match, isn't he? He and Rocky. So he immediately goes for my boy Rhino for some reason. He's trying to take on Rhino, and the crowd's just eating up having the old Stone Cold back, man. And there's a lot of brawling on the outside, and Austin rolls Rhino in the ring, and the match actually finally begins. We hear a bell. So
yeah, it's a great start with everybody brawling, going crazy on the outside. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that's what it should have been about the last 3 weeks. It should have been that, But instead we got McMahon's. So anyway, I love that Austin hits that Ric Flair low blow kick though, and in the ring, it's great. He hits that little mule kick, like where the ref doesn't look, and it's great. He still has his heel tendencies a little bit, but he's supposedly a face now, so the crowd's eating up all this stuff he's doing. It's just funny how that works. So.
I'll tell you what I hate that he did, though, is Austin hits a superplex off the top rope, and that probably took months off his career there, dude. And he did this a bunch during this time, and I'm thinking, dude, don't you realize what's going on with your neck? You have the worst neck in the world, and you're taking that bump is terrible for his. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he was doing that as often as he did it.
I know. But it's like he was trying to prove again that he could go in the ring.
Yeah.
Because all those matches he had with Benoit and with Jericho, and now in this match, he is in full blown like Ric Flair disciple mode. He's chopping. Everyone gets chopped. In fact, a lot of people in this match use chops. Hit that.
Chopping.
There's a lot of chopping here. It gets that superplex, like you said. Devon breaks up the pin. Jericho tags in. He's getting his spots on Rhino, basically hitting the greatest hits of Jericho. And then Rhino hits a huge clothesline. Booker tags in, and the crowd just boo. So, hope it wasn't like a hate crime type thing. Hope it was just because he's a bad guy, but I don't know. But
don't you think Jericho had the wrong pants on for this match, dude? He's got purple tights with barbed wire on them, which is like the ECW. Logo.
Yeah, he should have had something else. So
didn't think that.
I don't know. No, he did not. So anyway,
everybody's gonna get their turn to come in here at the beginning, and there's not much wrestling going on. It's just a lot of punching and kicking in the corners as everybody tags in. Everybody gets to work their way into the ring. Team WWF is dominating here at the beginning, though. They really seem to be firing on all cylinders, and Kurt Angle's really got the crowd behind him. But
yeah.
Well,
I was going to say, when he comes in, I think JR says he's going medieval on Booker T, and the crowd is ready for him to be a babyface. They want to cheer this guy.
He's never been a babyface up to this point. Yeah.
He's never been like a full-fledged babyface. He had that little kind of run with it. Well, no, I guess he was the heel with the whole Triple H thing. That's right, yeah. Triple H was kind of the face. Yeah, so he's never been a face. So the crowd is ready, after 2 years of him being on the roster almost. They're ready to cheer this guy. So
the Dudley Boys are going to get a little bit of momentum for Team Coalition, Team Alliance, whatever you want to call it. They double team Kane when he comes in, and they hit the old 3DB, the reverse 3D maneuver, as Bubba comes into the match. But it doesn't last long. Kane's going to head up top and hit a massive flying clothesline onto Devon, and then finally get the tag into Taker. Taker's the last man for Team WWF to tag into the match, and he unloads on Bubba Ray.
Oh, yeah, man. He's punching and Irish whips all over the place, back and forth in turnbuckles and running, diving clothesline. And then he just turns around and punches DDP off the apron. just knocks him. Leg drop and old school to Bubba. I mean, a really, really good, solid-looking old school to Bubba. And then punches all the WCW, ECW guys off the apron except for DDP, who actually hits an apron stunner on him, which we know is a Taker move.
That's right. We
mentioned that a long time ago. The apron stunner is his move. So, yeah.
Taker kind of plays the old Ricky Morton role, kind of sells for everybody here at this point. This Rhino tags in and works over Taker on the corner. Rhino works him over for a little while. DDP finally tags in. He's the last guy to tag in for WCW, and of course he's going to pick over Undertaker while he's already hurt. Gets double 2 counts, and JR is just chastising them for not hooking the leg or anything like that. And you got to take this more seriously up against the WWF. You're never going to get a pin like that. Booker T tags in and works over Undertaker while Taker's trying to get the tag from his partners.
Yeah, and at this point, I got mad at JR because he's like, we might see this devastating spinneroonie. We might be treated to. He's like mocking it. I'm like, oh, you mean like the devastating people's elbow or the devastating, I don't know, mandible claw? Like,
he was buried at WCW all night, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's like, come on, man, Booker, like put him over. The spin Rooney's fun. It's hilarious. It's great. It gets the crowd riled up. It's great, man. But yeah, Taker hits the running DDT on Booker, and Rhino comes in and makes a save. I do appreciate everyone coming in and making saves for each other. I mean, there's a lot of that. So.
Yep.
Austin tags himself in against Booker T, and dude, he is stomping a mud hole, and then Booker reverses, and Austin reverses to a clothesline, and he tries a stunner, and then they head to the outside because he can't get it, and then Austin suplexes Booker T from the crowd over the guardrail and onto the protected mats on the outside, which also not good for your neck.
Nope.
So they roll back in the ring, and then Jericho tags in against Booker.
And Jericho, of course, misses a line salt like he always does, but lands on his feet. But the ECW, CW guys double team him. The Dudley Boys take turns beating down Jericho. But Jericho's able to tag out to Kurt Angle, who's going to take the Dudley Boys to Suplex City here. He's the originator of it, man.
Oh, yeah.
And then DDP's going to get a cheap shot in, and Bubba hits the Bubba Bomb. And the Dudley Boys are like the real workhorses here for the Coalition.
Yeah, man.
They're doing most of the work in the ring. And DDP, love DDP, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time probably, but he was a little rusty here in this match. Man.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe his timing was off with the WWF guys. Man, he didn't seem like he was firing on all cylinders in this match like everybody else was.
Yeah, and there were rumors back then. There's been rumors recently too. I mean, a couple years ago about him, and at his Hall of Fame induction, people were wondering, did he have heat with Taker? Is that why he got squashed and stuff? And he's gone on record saying that, they just didn't have chemistry. They just didn't. You click with some guys and you don't with some others. He and Macho Man clicked. He and Sting, he and Goldberg, for God's sakes, clicked. But for some reason, he and Taker just didn't click. I mean, they're both pretty tall, big guys. So I don't know if that's it or what. But anyway, it just was what it was. He said, I should have been put with Rocky. When I came in, but it was, it's not what happened, but still. And so I don't think there was anything personal, but yeah, he's a little off, man. Well, he's the oldest dude in the ring by like several years too.
That might be part of it too.
Yeah, he comes in, and I'm trying to find where I am here. I wanted to note too, we're getting some Paulie Sucks chants, just like we covered last week on Talking Taker with the WCW match. So
nice.
Appreciate that continuity there with Taker in the ring and Paulie getting some Paulie Sucks chants. Well, Rhino tags in, hits a belly to belly on Angle. Austin comes in and breaks up that pin, and Mike Chioda just gets in Austin's face like, no, you're not the legal man. So I don't know why all of a sudden now it's not okay to come in. Yeah, well, Austin
inconsistency, man, like some other stuff we've talked about here.
Exactly. Well, Austin flicks him off, which gets a huge pop as well. Bubba tags in against Angle, a quick tag back to Devon, and Booker T tags back in. There's scissor kicking on Angle. Then he hits a spinner Rooney to the delight of the fans. So love that.
Hatred of JR.
Exactly.
And then again, more inconsistency here. DDP distracts the ref so that the Dudley Boys can hit the "was up," which Dudley Boys hit that move in every match.
Right.
Do they usually have to distract the ref to do that? I don't remember that.
They usually do at some point. It's weird, like Spike would do it or some. But, I mean, they just depended on if they were faces or heels. If they were faces, they could do it. If they were heels, they had to distract the referee. So.
I guess that makes sense here.
Yeah.
DDP is going to get in there with Kurt Angle eventually. Puts Angle in a headlock, but Angle powers out over to the corner to tag in Stone Cold, but then the ref's not going to see the tag. Even though he's allowed some other tags they didn't see earlier in this
exactly.
match. But, whatever. Whatever works for the match, I guess. And then, at this point, pretty much, everything is going to start to go crazy here. As DDP hits a diamond cutter on Kurt Angle, and Undertaker just runs into the ring. He's going to break this up, and now the match totally breaks down because everyone hops in the ring. Rhino gores Booker T by accident, hits his own partner. And then Undertaker tosses DDP across the ring, hits a sidewalk slam on him. Taker goozles DDP for a choke slam and is going to go for the last ride. And the referee has totally lost control of everything. Mike Chioda has. So the WCW official on the outside is going to run in the ring. Charles Robinson. He's going to try to get in Taker's face, and he gets a last ride for his troubles. So, welcome to the WWF, Chuck.
Yeah, he gets a big last ride. How much do you think that hurt Charles Robinson?
Oh,
he's not paid to
welcome to the company,
that.
pal.
Exactly. Oh, man, like you said, everyone is brawling on the outside, and Taker and DDP then head through the crowd. They, Attitude Era Brawl, throw up through the crowd, and they're going to disappear. That's the last we're going to see of either one of those men. So Taker is gone. DDP's gone. They're fighting through the crowd. No camera follows them. We get no camera shots of what they're doing. They just disappear.
Yep.
So
see you guys.
So allegedly, Angle's the legal man in the ring, and Austin is on the outside complaining of a knee injury. I guess he fell and is complaining of some kind of knee injury here to the refs.
Yep. And you're right, Angle is the legal man, and DDP is also the legal man. Those are the last two guys that tagged into the ring before Undertaker ran in there and started going crazy. But I don't know if that was an accident or they're just trying to make things up at this point. But the things are going to continue to go crazy on the outside. Dudley Boys are going to start double teaming Kane. They grab a table from under the ring, despite there being 2 announce tables right next to them. But they're going to set that up, kind of leaning up against the guardrail. And Kane's like, I'll use these tables you didn't want to use. And choke slams Devon through the English announce table. But Bubba Ray hits Kane with a monitor, and Rhino joins up with him, and they suplex Kane through the Spanish announce table.
Yeah, it was a cool spot.
It was a good spot. And then the table party continues as Chris Jericho hops up on the apron and splashes Rhino through the table that the Dudley Boys propped up, as things are getting out of control here. And this is where JR claims that Kurt Angle and Booker T are the legal men in the ring. And I just want to point out that he is absolutely wrong, that DDP and Angle were the legal men here. But
yep,
DDP's gone, so they got to adjust the finish here, I guess.
Exactly. So, yeah, Jericho's out, Dudley's are out, Kane's out, Rhino's out, DDP and Taker have disappeared. So, yeah, like I said, Booker and Angle are in the ring, and Austin's got that knee injury on the outside. So, for convenience sake, we'll just say Booker T is a legal man. But he's not. But anyway, Angle fights back against Booker, then Bubba gets in the ring, and Kurt is nailing suplexes and Angle slams, and he gets an ankle lock on Booker T.
He's on fire.
Yeah, man, and the crowd is eating it up, man. Like I said, they want to cheer this guy so much, and he gets an ankle lock on Booker T, and Booker kicks him into Mike Chioda, and then he hits a great Booker T move, the old flapjack, man. I love that move. He lifts him up, and then so all the men are down now at this point. Well, this brings out Vince McMahon, the patriarch of the WWF, you know, who it's really all about. Vince, he slides the WWF title into the ring so that Kurt can get it and use it. So we'll see what happens next.
Well, I want to say, too, that this whole match, Shane has been going crazy on the outside. And during the wild brawl here at the end, Shane's been helping out his guys. He was helping beat up Kane on the outside.
It's
and
true.
Meanwhile, Vince has just been stoic, like emotionless on the other side of the ring, not doing anything, which is silly because he's been acting like his company's at stake. This is the biggest match ever. Why are you not going crazy? You're Vince McMahon. You're like, you love to get in there and mix it up with people. Why are you not doing that? And then he's going to go grab the championship, the WWF title, and slide it to Angle. And I'm like, just go use it. The referee's down. Why don't you just go hit? Your company is on the line here. What are you doing? So, of course, Shane intercepts the belt and ends up hitting Vince with it. And he goes to hit Kurt, but Kurt sends Shane packing, sends Bubba Ray over the top, gives an angle slam to Booker T. The straps go down, and an ankle lock on Booker T as he's tapping out, but the referee is down. And oh no, here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold throws the referee in the ring. Mike Chioda, he gets up, he kicks Kurt Angle. Kick, wham, stunner. And then he puts Booker T on top of Kurt Angle, and the referee counts 3 to end the match at 29 minutes and 3 seconds. So Steve Austin has returned heel and helped his old stomping grounds, WCW and ECW, win the inaugural Brawl for absolutely no stakes at all. But still, the stakes were Austin's turning heel again.
Yeah, they doubled down on this heel turn, which is just another insane decision, in my opinion. Like, how hot the crowd was for him, and they just had to force it, man. They're trying to force this thing that no one wants, and it's a huge mistake in hindsight. Someone in the crowd saw it coming, though, because someone had a sign ready that says, Austin 316 says, "You just sold out." Which, I don't know if that was a plant or what, but good call for that guy.
Yeah, good on that guy, man. So, yeah, Austin is now celebrating in the ring with Shane, Steph, and Paul. They come in there, and Shane hands him the WWF title, and Austin poses in the corner. He's mean-mugging at Angle, and starts kicking him out of the ring and flicks him off, and JR and Cole are just absolutely incredulous of what they just witnessed. The WWF title is now in the enemy camp. Well, maybe that could have been the stakes. Whoever wins gets a title, or
something.
Why wouldn't that have been? Yeah, I don't know, and again, I just said the crowds, they're kind of stunned, but they're on their feet. They're on their feet for this ending, but they're a little bit stunned. Like, what? I thought, I don't know. They don't really know what to think about it.
It's a heck of a swerve, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's a shocking, if nonsensical ending, and show goes off the air with Austin, Shane, Steph, and Heyman toasting a few Steve Weisers all over Vince McMahon's body.
Yeah, he pours one on Vince.
Darkest day, of course. And yeah, man, it's as a match itself, it's very entertaining. It's 30 minutes of action, 10 great guys in there. It's hard to have a bad match, in my opinion, with that much talent in there. I love a good, 10-man tag, 8-man tag. It's hard to have those not be entertaining if you've got the right guys in there, because everyone gets to be fresh and hit all their signature stuff. But it is definitely tarnished by its place in history. The finishing sequence itself was a lot of fun, despite the ending itself. But yeah, man, that's you definitely need to see it if you've never seen it before. But it is not held up in history all that well, of course.
Well, I just wrote too, the ending overshadows everything else as far as the storyline goes. It's just another vehicle to get Austin over as a heel, this whole invasion. And he tries his hardest. Once we might cover that. I'm not sure how much more interaction we'll have with Austin as we go down the rest of the months here, but the invasion storyline. But anyway, he's trying his hardest to get over as a heel and get some cheap heat here by being involved with these guys. But it's just I don't know. It's just different. And then having Taker and DDP disappear at the end of the match is kind of weird for us. But it's still it's a fun match. I really do enjoy it. I recommend the entire show. Honestly, it's a fun watch.
And folks,
is what it is.
It is what it is. We're gonna hear more about Sara. We're gonna hear more about the Stalker. We're gonna talk about more of this stuff next week. As we keep rolling to the last ride. It means we got to roll through SummerSlam 2001. The good news is we get to talk about Canyon. Who better than Canyon? We get to talk about him a little bit. More tag team action from Undertaker and Kane. But yeah, unfortunately, we got to talk about Sara and the Stalker and all this stuff as we try to get through this. We want to hear what you guys think of the invasion, what you guys think of the Stalker angle, all of this nonsense, all of this mess. We appreciate you sticking along with us through this marathon, through this journey. We hope we made it entertaining for you. A couple quick shout outs. I know we're going to try to wrap things up here real quick, but quick shout out to @VoodooPeep on Instagram, who reached out to us, told us they're making their way through the archives and had a little correction for us from back in the Ministry of Darkness days. And we talked about the extreme T symbol, the X over the T. They said, I don't know if you ever noticed, but the symbol is... the X over it is supposed to be 2 coffin nails on there. So, representing the Undertaker. I don't know if I ever quite picked that up.
I don't think I ever put that together,
That's pretty neat. So thanks for shouting us out. Thanks for going through the archives and listening to all those. And another person going through the archives is @SmarkandFriends on Twitter, which is the Smark and Friends podcast. They gave us a plug. They just ended up talking about Giant Gonzalez and gave a shout out to our podcast and our WrestleMania 9 Giant Gonzalez episode. Long
sorry,
time ago.
guys.
Yeah. Guess what? I'm yearning for those days as we're talking about Sara. How sad is that?
Oh, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough.
That was the worst.
Fair enough. Shout out to Vince Russo as well and the Truth with Consequences podcast. They kind of stole our gimmick on this last episode as they talked about some of Vince Russo's worst ideas and some of the worst ideas that get attributed to him but aren't really his ideas, which we called our bromance of the week there for a little while. So, little gimmick infringement, Vince. We'll let you have it this time since it is you, and we're using your gimmick. But whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good show, though. It's entertaining. It's worth, if you haven't listened to his show before, check out that one for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's fun. So, man, well, that being said, any more shout-outs we got here?
No, we just want you guys to follow us. We'll shout you out. Everyone out there, we love your interactions. We want to hear from you. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's real easy at Talkin' Taker. And subscribe. Subscribe along the way on all your favorite podcasting services as we'll continue on next week to SummerSlam 2001.
Oh, yeah, man. What a good show this was. I have good memories of this show. Just some fun matches.
Not of Undertaker's match, but in general, I did.
Oh, yeah, we'll see. We'll get to that.
Okay, okay.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying it is what it is. But I remember the WWF title match very vividly. So, but anyway, we'll get to that. And if you were there in the Gund Arena, now I got a special if you were there. If you were there in March when Shane took over the company and you were there at Invasion, we want to hear from you for sure. You are a super mark. You're a super creature of the night. You're amazing. I would love to hear that. But if you were there in the Gund Arena this night, let us know. And those of you remember this era, let us know what you thought about the Invasion. Are we wrong? Was it amazing? Was it incredible? If you were there in Atlanta with me that night where it took a whole new turn, let us know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for our, speaking of Atlanta, thanks for our feedback on our WCW episode. We had a lot of fun doing that last week, and we might can revisit some special bonus type episodes later on down the line. So thank you guys for your suggestions and for giving us good feedback about that. So other than that, ladies and gentlemen, it's long. It's been a long episode. It's late. We got 2 words for you. Take her easy.
As far as I'm concerned, this is all the Undertaker's fault. Every damn bit of it. I mean, come on. DDP would not be here in the World Wrestling Federation if it wasn't for the Undertaker. The Undertaker said, oh, no. DDP gets a full access pass. He can go anywhere he wants to. So therefore, with Kane losing the WWF Intercontinental title tonight, that's his brother's fault. That's the Undertaker's fault. Well, to be honest with you, Vince, you know that old expression, where there's DDP, there's bound to be Booker T. You know? That's an old expression? No, I just made it up.